welcome to another episode and edition of Brews and Crews, where I am here with my very good friend, Paul Ebner, who is going to school us on some beer, because he's a beer guy, and
Just
I'm
a
a
little
beer
bit.
guy. So we're going to do this together. So today, what are we drinking?
We're drinking Island City from right here in Winona.
Yeah.
We've got two excellents. I decided if we're going to drink two, we're going to drink your favorite, the double IPA, Dock Cider, and my favorite, the Frost Crack, which is a vanilla dunkel. And fun fact, the vanilla used in vanilla dunkel is from right next door here at Watkins.
Well, Watkins, that's obviously a well-known brand around the whole entire United States, if not the world.
Yep.
So, all right. So do we drink these like men out of the can, or do we use our nifty Island City glasses?
I'm drinking the Frost Crack out of the can, but we'll do the Dock Cider in the glasses. But
That sounds good to me. Let's crack these bad
let's
boys.
do it. So, another reason I picked the Frost Crack was so there's not a lot of people left down at Island City that were there when this was first created.
Well, they go through beer tenders like
Well,
they go through underwear.
not even just that, but even like the behind the scenes people. Like, so
Oh, yeah.
Tommy, a good friend of mine, was the original brewer.
Well, he's the one that brought these glasses.
Yes, as a
Back
matter of
like-
fact, shout out Tommy. Hope
think
you're
what
doing
was
well
it?
in Montana.
2017 or 18, he dropped them off here. He dropped off like 24 of them. So I still have the original ones that came
Hey,
here.
look at that. Well, before we get, let's cheers.
Absolutely.
Taste it up.
Taste it up.
Get that Watkins vanilla.
Yeah, that is very wintry.
Yes.
That's a winter type beer for sure.
Yep, very smooth. And right there, Watkins logo right on the can.
Okay, so that's something I didn't know, that it was the Watkins had the vanilla in it. I had no idea.
Yep.
Until just now.
And so that's the other fun thing is when so Tommy was not from Winona originally when they decided to make this, and he already knew he wanted to do a vanilla dunkel. So I was the one who said, "Hey, make sure you check in with Watkins," and he goes, "What's a Watkins?" And I said, "Like one of the major producers of vanilla and cinnamon and other spices, in Winona, in the country." So they went down there and they were like, "Yeah, we'd love to be a part of this project." So that's
Where was Tommy from? Somewhere in Minnesota? Because you just said he's in Montana. Shout out. So I don't know.
Well, he moved to Montana to. He's a weed doctor now. Literally,
yes,
he has
yes.
a card and everything. So I've thrown it all out there, Tommy. Sorry, but
So
no,
blunts and brews we should be doing.
there you go. But no, he actually tests marijuana.
Oh,
so
wow,
that's what he
good.
does now. But I believe Tommy's originally from Sorry, Tommy, I don't actually remember for sure, but I think it's from north of the Twin Cities.
Okay, so he's from Minnesota. He's a
Yes,
Minnesota guy.
yes,
Gotcha.
but-
okay, well, that's surprising. I didn't know about Watkins but then
Nope.
again, you know what? It's literally a block away from right where we're recording now.
Yep.
So we know very well what this is.
Yep.
So okay, first thing I got to talk about is I wasn't into craft brewing until 2017 when Island City moved here. I didn't even know what craft breweries were.
You and me both, my friend.
Really? Yeah. Well, by when we started talking and hanging out, it seemed like you knew it quite well.
I learned very fast.
Well, when it's good, it's good. So I learned a little bit about different types of beer rather than your standard Busch, Bud Lights, McGoldens, all that kind of stuff. When I was in Atlanta, they had a place called Smyrna Craft Brew or something like that. And all you did was you bought a crowler or a growler from them, and then you just go in and you just ask them to fill it. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And at first I was like, oh man, what is this? Then I moved back from Atlanta here, and when did this come around? 2017, I believe they were established.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I went in there not knowing what it was, and they had a light beer on tap. I'm like, well, I'm definitely getting that one. And I got them like, oh, that's pretty good stuff, which a light beer was what I was used to because you got your standards. And then I started going into other ones, and I'm like, oh, who would drink this? And now I'm at the Dock Cider, which is one of their highest ABVs. And the IBUs are high as well. So I was like, wow, my taste is totally different in the last 6 years since Island City's been around. So for me, it took a while. It was like an acquired taste. Well, I don't know if that was like that for you.
I don't know if it was necessarily an acquired taste or that craft beer just got better.
Could be that too.
Because I was the same way. Like, I had a couple of IPAs back in like the early 2010s.
Sure.
And I thought they were garbage. I was like, what is this? This tastes awful. And then the first time I ever had an IPA, once Island City opened up, I was like, oh, this is good. The processes of making hops and making malts have changed so much in the last 10 years that they can add so much more flavoring. And now they have there's the Citra hop, which actually is used in a lot of IPAs that gives that almost a grapefruit or a citrus note to it. Whereas I don't think that was even around before. It was like, here's hops, this is what it is.
Okay.
Kind of like the pepper game. You know how there's always a new hottest pepper coming out.
Sure.
They're scientifically making all these new hops that are just completely
the one
changing
thing
the game.
is with the IPAs, I have noticed that now, other than just your regular old standard, now you got hazies, and now you got a cold IPA, which is turning into one of my favorite types, is a cold one. And so it must go along with the hops that you're talking about, the Citra type hops and stuff like that. Because when I first got into IPAs, I was like, man, this is something I'm not drinking in the summer. It's pretty heavy. But now I find myself taking hazy IPAs out on the river all the time, and they actually go down quite well.
Hazies are my personal favorite IPAs, or there's also like juicy IPAs. I feel kind of are in a similar boat. And if I'm wrong on that, and there's beer people out there going, oh, sorry, I didn't say I was a perfectionist on this stuff. I just enjoy it a lot. So, but no, the hazies, the juicies, I really enjoy. I find that they're much more refreshing and don't have, even though some of them still have the same amount of alcohol content, they just don't feel as heavy as your standard IPAs.
See, now my dad hated this kind of beer, just like when I came into it, and he's still not an IPA kind of guy, but he's gotten into the red lagers. He likes a red lager or a black lager. Loves those ones. So when Island City has their High Forest, which is one of their standards, obviously, then they used to have one called what was Black Stone or something like that. Stone Circle maybe, and that was a black lager. That was probably his favorite, but he likes the red lagers now. Also, to go along with that, he likes the Marzens, those Oktoberfests. Oh. And they are pretty similar in taste, I think, so I don't really know. But, man, I remember getting into this. I'm like, oh, who would drink this stuff? It tastes like paint thinner. But it doesn't after you get used to it. Now he goes back and gets a McGolden. He's like, give me something with some flavor in it. And yep, that's exactly it.
It's so hard to go back. Like, no, if I'm at a buddy's house and it's all he has and he's going to give me one for free, I'm going to drink it.
Sure.
But in the back of my head, I'm going, God, I could really go for a really good Pilsner or a really good red lager or a Dunkel or like a double IPA like we're going to be having here very shortly. But it's boggled my mind coming from, I didn't drink beer at all. I was, mainly it was whiskey and tequila.
Of course. Why would it not be, right? Whiskey.
It's all I drank. But then, Island City came to town, and I was working with them on marketing through the radio station and figured I better get to know beer. Otherwise, how am I going to help them market if I don't know anything about it? So they were, Dan Murphy was also there at the time. He was their marketing and sales guy. Very, took me under their wing and said, hey, we're going to show you the way, and kind of gave me a little behind the scenes on the processes. And the one that got me was sour beers.
That's the first one, Berliner Weiss. That was my first one that I started liking, other than the light one.
Yep.
And now I don't really care much for that one.
Really?
Nope.
Oh, I still love that one.
My wife likes it. Steph likes it. But now it's like Dockside. And even the beer tenders, they go, yeah, I got you. They already know what to come. So when you go in, is this the top choice, or what's your top choice when you go? If every one of them is on the list, what's your go-to? Because mine's the Docksider.
So mine is actually one of their blends, which is why I also love going to these breweries, because they love to experiment with their own beers. Yep. So what they do is they do a half and half frost crack with their cream ale.
Oh,
cream ale.
The Devil's Cave?
Nope.
No.
Coulee Crack.
Oh, Coulee Crack. Okay.
Coulee Crack. That is my personal favorite right now. For a while, they were out of one or the other, but now they've got both on tap again. So they've started marketing that again as the Coulee Crack, and it's a fantastic blend. For some people, this is a little thick, which I'm sure why you said it was very much a winter drinking beer. The cream ale really thins it a bit, but it doesn't really deter the flavor much.
Okay.
But it does not feel like. I mean, this almost gives the feeling of a stout, even though it's not.
Yeah, I taste a little bit of caramel with like a hint of coffee flavor. And so coffee's not my favorite thing in the world. Actually, I don't drink coffee at all. But if it's in a beer, I'll give her a whirl. And this is very, it's crazy because it is a little thicker. It is that Christmassy winter flavor, and it goes down very smooth. There's no bitterness really to it, and there's not much carbonation. So this one does go down very, very smooth for me. Now, you go over to like a cream ale, and then that'll make it a little bit more bubbly to me.
Yep.
So I enjoy all of them. And for those who don't know out there, Island City, they name pretty much all of their beers after something within our region of Winona, Minnesota. So you have Frost Crack, which is probably just because we have cold winters.
There's a story behind that, too.
We'll tell it. Let's hear it.
So, a frost crack. So, have you ever seen movies, or maybe you were hunters?
I've seen movies.
Hunters. This is actually probably one hunters will really understand.
Okay.
Out in the winter, when you're hunting, you'll hear like the snapping of like branches or trees sound like they're snapping. That is what's called a frost crack. What's happening is the water inside the tree is freezing and expanding and causing bark to snap off and stuff. So when you hear those random cracks in the middle of winter, it's called a frost crack, and that's what you're hearing.
So I'm thinking it's cracking of like the ice. That's all I'm thinking of is ice cracking. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So, I mean, I see some cracking on the can label. Yep. So anyways, I was going with that. And then we got Docksider, which makes sense because we're right on the river. I'm assuming it's named after you're at the dockside.
Sure, that one I don't know. This one I took a lot of pride in since I actually kind of helped create it.
Oh, you did?
Well, because I told them to use the Watkins vanilla, so I got to put a little bit of my stamp on it saying,
nice.
I helped.
It should say Paul on the side instead of Watkins. Paulkins.
No, I'm not going to take away from Watkins.
Well, yeah, these, I don't know, the beers are fantastic. Now, the other thing that I've noticed within the last, several years, and when I'm talking several years, I'm talking since 2017, now we have a lot of breweries within our own area, like Lanesboro has Sylvan. You have up in Fountain, Minnesota, you have Karst. You go to, I think it's Preston, Minnesota, you got Trout City, I think it's called. You go, and then obviously you got your big ones like Decorah has Toppling Goliath. Yep. And now all of a sudden there's one every place you go. Yep. And we have some actually really fantastic ones, I think, just in our little area of a 45-minute, radius. Because have you gone to Menominee yet?
I have not.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I've been to Menominee, but not to their brewery.
So they have one called, I think it's called LaSalle or something like that. Anyways, they make pizza and they make their own dough there, and it's Firestone pizza. It's fantastic. And then they obviously have good beer too.
What I love too is like how do I phrase it? The culture around local breweries is incredible to me because. So my hometown, Monticello, Minnesota, has two breweries, Nordic and...
I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, I love their beers.
Okay.
Every time I go through, like when I'm going up north for a vacation, I always go through my hometown, and I always stop there and get beer. If you have a chance, Monticello, Minnesota, stop at the Nordic. Fantastic beers. But then there's another one in town, and I feel bad. I follow them on Facebook, but I've never heard how they pronounce it. I think it's Roost Brewing. But they literally just posted that they were going to have to close. And they had such an influx of people saying, no, we can't allow this to happen. They're actually flipping the script now and saying, oh, we can actually stay open because of like the community just like came around them and said, you're part of this town. We're not going to let this happen.
I love that because the best thing about the breweries in my mind is the feel when you go in, or the ambiance, whatever you want to say, their theme. Everyone has somewhat of a theme, and that to me is so much better than just walking into your standard, average, everyday bar. Now, granted, most people like to go to your standard bar, and that's perfectly fine because they have a bunch of mixtures of things. You can get mixed drinks, beers, wines, whatever. When you go to most breweries, some of them are only carrying beer because of probably liquor licenses is my guess. I don't know. But you go in there, and to me, it's the ambiance. I like going in there because I know it's not going to be a crowded bar filled with crazy people because crazy people don't go off and, well, crazy is your definition, but crazy people don't buy $7 beers. However, you might be
not
crazy
wrong.
because you're buying a $7 beer also.
Potato,
Yeah.
you know. So, but no, it's exactly what you said. I mean, it's not. You never really feel like when you go into a brewery, you're gonna see some guy that's had too much trying to pick fights with people. You know?
Yeah, okay, now that you're not gonna pick fights, but you can have too much.
Oh.
Impending doom.
Oh, okay. Now, what I mean by that is you don't see that, guy falling off the bar.
Yeah, well, yeah.
What did you say about my girlfriend? And like, that's not there. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't feel like.
Not a lot of barstool politics when you go.
No, there really isn't. It's just everyone's kind of there doing their own thing. You know, if there's an event, they're all there for the event and they're there to enjoy. They're not there to ruin it for anybody else. I just feel, I mean, like you said, it's nothing against, the local bar community because I love being a part of that too. But it's just, there's something different to be said about a brewery. There's just a different feel, a different ambiance.
When I go into one, I don't feel like I'm going to a bar. Even though I'm drinking beer, I don't feel like I'm going to a bar. I feel like I'm just going to have a drink with some friends. And the other things that are fun is, Island City and a lot of these other places are now doing the trivias, which I love trivia. I love hosting it. Then they're doing beer bingo, which is usually free, and you're playing for pints. I mean, you're just there to have a good time, something to do on like a Wednesday. Holy cow, this guy doesn't have another.
Okay.
No, I'll twist your arm if you need me to. So back to
I know you could too.
back to the impending doom.
Oh my gosh.
So when it first came out, they had a first run of it, and I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, they had the wrestling event with RCCW.
No, it was even before that one. Yeah, there was one before that. They had the RCCW one.
No. So there was the impending doom, there was the imminent doom, and there was the immediate doom. There's been 3 releases of Doom.
Well, whatever that first one was, it was 10.2.
Yeah, that was the first time. That was what did they call that? Something.
It was Doom. We just called it
Bruises
Doom.
and Brews. Yeah, it was
Okay.
the first Bruises and Brews events, and they weren't planning on having it line up with a wrestling event.
It just happened to do it.
But it worked, and it's funny you mentioned that because I was another shout out to someone who probably is not going to want me to be shouting him out, Mike Sloggy.
Oh.
And I were there because you were wrestling, and he's a wrestling fan. He was there, and him and Andy Kaiser, another shout out.
Shout out Toyota.
Yeah, right. They were there, and both of them to this day tell me they're like, we don't remember the second half of that night because of
Was
that
I in
beer.
the second half?
Probably.
Yeah, they probably don't even remember me in my little tights. Dang it.
But no, and it was the fun. Then the thing is everyone said the same thing. They're like, usually when you get a beer like this, it's nasty. Like it's
I know.
it's heavy, it's gross, it's like, and everyone loved it. But that was the problem because everyone kept drinking it. And when it's a 10-2.
Yeah. Well, okay, so it was smoother than Doc's Header. Doc's Header has a little bit more bite to it than that one, and you would expect the opposite to be true, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was one night we went to trivia, Justin and I, and we had 4 of them.
Oh Lord.
So 10.2 times 4.
Well, to put that into if you're not a beer person, to put that into perspective, a Bud Light is probably like
It's a 4.1.
It's a 4.1.
Somewhere in one of those.
So one of these is 2 3/4 of those.
Yep.
So imagine if you have 4 of those, you've just had a 12-pack by yourself, basically.
And you're not peeing as much because you don't have as much liquid in you.
But the alcohol level.
Oh, yeah. So anyways, we walked home, and he lived 2 blocks away. And he called me up the next morning. He goes, I woke up this morning next to my toilet on my stomach. And I don't remember being in there.
Wow.
I was like, well, the doom got you.
Oh, the doom.
Oh, man, we were doomed. So, okay, now that you've already brought it up, I got to go into wrestling here because
it was going to happen.
We know
Come
that.
on.
Because you were my manager. I'm not really sure what you managed, but you managed to get your ass kicked.
A few times.
One time you went through a table.
I went through a table. I got stone cold stunned twice. One of which Nobody got on tape, and that was the better of the two that I took.
So then you took it like Vince on the next one?
Yeah, it wasn't
Just
it wasn't
flopped
that-
over?
No, AC Riley, he said, well, you did all right. He told me I did all right.
Yeah.
My timing was a little off, but
You're untrained professional.
But he was impressed with the leg twitch. There was a
Ooh.
little bit of a leg twitch once I was
Good.
down.
You were
so-
stunned.
Yeah, exactly. See, but no, the first one I ever took was at Levy Mania. Randomly, it was they had the battle royal, the over the levee battle royal.
Over the levee battle.
Yep, and that was
a great show.
Yeah, it was a great show. We should try and bring that back.
Well, the background was so cool because you're sitting there and the Mississippi River is flowing in the background with a bridge to go to Wisconsin.
Patrick Menton from Park and Rec will not leave me alone about bringing that back. So
well, we can do it. You and me, we can do it.
Well, why not?
All he needs is a ring.
Yep.
I know someone's got a ring.
Yep, that's true. All right. Well, we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah. Well, so anyways, this brings me up to the next point.
Sorry,
that's okay. This is just a
something
conversation.
shiny.
Well, there's lots of shiny things here,
Yeah,
okay?
that is true.
There's
That
also
is
things
true.
that are glowing.
Yes, that's true.
So the way you and me became good friends was because of wrestling when we did our wrestling show, which you contacted me and you go, do you mind sitting down and talking with me? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't really know you well, but I know you from the radio because I hear you on the radio.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, sounds good. Just come on over, go to the conference room, and we'll go talk. And you had this idea for a YouTube show.
Yep.
And that's how we became really good friends, leading up to the next point of you becoming my manager.
WrestleLogic, rest in peace.
This is funny. My nephew, he still watches our videos.
Oh, I'm so sorry for him. I feel so
well,
bad.
if you're ever getting any more views, it's probably just him on repeat.
Whatever.
What year was
He's
that? Like
enjoying it.
16, 17, 18 maybe?
That's
It was
probably 18, 19.
Yeah. So that's how you and me became good friends was through
That's
that.
right. And we did that. What was that? We did the WrestleMania predictions video down at Island City for that too. Remember?
Oh yeah. And we used to record it just right next door, right
Yep,
over here.
right over there at the bar.
At
Yep.
the bar, yeah.
That was a good time. That was fun.
It was. Yeah, it was. It was challenging because I don't watch wrestling as much as you do. I enjoy performing and doing it in front of the crowd, but I don't really watch it that much because I guess I just don't think it's as good as it used to be. But that's okay. It's getting there. It has its moments.
Yep.
But it's not like when they're flicking each other off, drinking beer, doing that. So
Nice segue back to
back
the
to
beer.
See, I'm gonna be a pro at this pretty soon, and it's all good.
Yep.
So where'd your love for wrestling come in? Because I didn't know you until I knew of you, but I didn't know you personally until wrestling. And you are a huge fan.
I've always been a huge fan.
You dressed up as Macho Man and took my old boots for some
did.
event. How was it, Halloween karaoke?
Yeah. Yep.
Like that's where you're at. That's the level you're at. But
So
why?
I've been watching wrestling since I was in late grade school, probably like 4th, 5th grade.
Okay. It's about where I started. It was about 5th.
Yeah, it was just entertain. It was one of those things. I was flipping through the stations, and it was so cool because it was right before the Attitude Era. When because I used to watch it when I was really little. Like I'd see the old Hulk Hogan days. I'd see the, well, I'm
not trying to age you here, but when was your 4th, 5th grade? What year are we talking here?
So that was probably earlier 90s, like 93.
So then my 4th, 5th grade, because that's kind of when I started watching, was like just as the Attitude Era is about to just go nuts.
Yep.
So I'm talking like 96.
I was before. So, I was like, I'm trying to remember. Demolition was still around.
So it's really those gimmicky characters we're talking.
Which a lot of people think was the worst era of wrestling. But for me,
it has its eras and it needs its eras.
It does, but see, at the time, like for me, the characters are what made it. Like I loved the characters.
Yep.
You don't get that as much anymore. They're all who they are. Like it's Seth Rollins and John Moxley, and it's just names like.
Or as they call it, an extension of their personality.
Well, yeah, because those aren't their real names, but but before, it was like, for lack of thinking right now, it was like Repo Man and Doink the Clown and Crush, and they were like characters. Kamala,
Well,
or even the
look at
Undertaker.
Kane, he used to be a dentist.
Oh my gosh, Isaac Yankem, DDS. That was. Thank God for Kane and that guy's career.
Well, I know, and now he's the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yep.
I mean, come on.
Yep.
Guys had how many different? He was a dentist at one point.
Oh.
Okay, so you're going through and flipping through the channels. That's how you kind of got into it.
I just and it was cool. So it was right when Nitro had started.
Okay, so yeah, you're talking about that 94 era, right?
Yep.
About that, yep.
So what was cool about it in where I lived was channel 45 was TNT.
Okay.
Channel 46 was USA.
Oh, that's
so I could
convenient.
literally just back and forth it. So a lot of people ask me like, well, are you WWE or were you WCW? For me, it's like I was both. Like, I would say WWF at the time I was more into, but if they went to commercial, I'm like, I'd flip to WCW and be watching that.
And that's what they were trying to do the whole time.
And then when that went to a commercial, and the fact that they were literally right next to each other, because I know that's not the same, in other parts of the country, they could be 14 channels apart, but I loved the fact that it was like one flip of the switch, and I was just going back and forth, and I just had nonstop wrestling on Monday nights.
You must have had one of those TVs that didn't have the back button where you could just flip back to your previous channel, huh?
Nope. I had the dial.
Oh man!
Yeah.
You got to get up and do it.
Oh yeah, or that big black cable box with the ups and downs. Yep, those.
You were getting the Spice Channel, I bet too. You flipped to 99. I bet.
Just trying to see,
Yeah. So I kind of got into it a little about the same way, but they used to do AWF. Was it AWA? Whatever the American wrestling was here in Minneapolis.
Oh,
AWA?
yeah, with Vern Gagne's.
Yep. So Hulk used to be in that.
Yes,
Hulk Hogan, Andre, they were all
Terry the Hulk Balea.
Oh, yes. Oh, Terry.
Sorry.
Good job, Terrence.
Okay. Pinky popping my wrestling knowledge.
Hold on. Pinky popping.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
Anyway.
Terry Balea.
Sorry, I digress.
Anywho, so they used to come here and do it at the old Winona Middle School here, and the JCs used to put it on. Well, my dad was in the JCs, and he used to tell me about how this was all happening. They used to just go down to what is now the Co-op, and that was like the Nasty Habit and the Mississippi Queen, I think is what it was back in the 70s. And they used to go down there and party with these guys, but they weren't big names. They were just a territory at the time. Yep. So they were only big here.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he blew up in the 80s, and I'm like, wow, you used to do that? And so then, being naive, because I had no idea what wrestling really was, so I started flipping through, and then I flipped to Nitro. I remember I'd be at the YMCA, 8:45 at night, and I'm like, because it was just before it closed. No, sorry, 9:45 at night, just before it closed. I'm flipping through the channels. I'm waiting for my dad to get out of the locker room.
Yep, 3-hour shows is when that started.
Yeah, and I would wait, and I'm like, well, I don't know any of these guys. I was just looking for Hulk Hogan. That's all I was looking for. And I didn't realize how a wrestling show was, how it started and finished. The big guys or the popular guys are at the end. So I'm just like, I just know if I turn on at this time of the night, I'll probably see Hulk Hogan. I didn't realize the mid-carders are here, the opening show is here, and then the big guys are at the end. So I'm just like, well, when's Hulk Hogan coming out? Because that's all I knew. And then I got into it, and I was more of a WWF guy. However, I was still a fan of the NWO because it was cool.
So good.
But if I had to choose between the two, I'm watching WWF the whole time. Then I would do what you did and flip back. However, I was only trying to stay on that channel until I knew WWF was back. And I would forget. I'd be like, oh, crap, that's right. The other one's going on, too.
Yep.
But, man, you think back to those times like 98. I mean, it was like a stat card from
Monday Night Wars.
Top to bottom.
It was
stacked.
Nuts. Yeah. Well,
I
mean, the fact that there was a product in the United States that was outdoing WWF for quite a chunk of time too. It was like, gosh, and my wrestling friends that see this are going to be like, how do you not know? But I feel like it was like 90 something weeks. 83 weeks.
Yep.
Oh, thanks.
That's why Eric Bischoff has his podcast called 83 Weeks.
Ah, all right. That's fair enough.
There you go. Cheers to that.
All right. Good. There we go. I was close.
How did I school you on that?
Close.
You were close, but I can't believe you
That's
didn't
fine.
know that one.
Nope, I didn't know that one.
Unless you're just trying to make
I've
me
even
look
met the
smart.
guy too.
Yeah, I know. So did I. I told him his podcast was awesome, and he said thank you, and that was it.
See, I'm not a podcast guy, and I'm on a podcast. What the hell?
Well, you got a voice for radio and a face for it, too. However, we're doing a video podcast as well, so show that pretty smile. So that pretty smile, you go from loving it here, and then you become my manager. And then you go through a table. Huh. How did you get from there to there? That's just crazy. I don't know. I mean, you never were a wrestler, but you're a character in yourself because you're outgoing.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because like when I had brought up that I was willing to get hit for the people
bumping
who don't
is
know.
hitting, folks.
Yeah, getting hit or
Taking a drop.
Yeah, exactly. When I brought that up to Derek at RCCW, he was just like,
Okay.
"Are you sure?" Like, and I'm just like, "I'm fine." Like, I've been in theater. I've done fight training in theater, which I know is not the same, and I'm not even going to attempt to say that's even remotely close to what you guys do and actual, professional wrestlers do. But I know how to fall. I know how to, do that kind of stuff. I know how to do it appropriately where I'm not going to hurt myself. And I think that gave him enough confidence saying, okay, he knows how to fall correctly. My guys know how to throw him correctly.
Yep.
We can make this work.
Sure.
And we got to a point where I just had too much going on. My wife was like, hey, you got to back out of something. And as a lot of independent wrestlers will know, that's usually the lowest paying thing on the scale, unfortunately, although kudos to all of the guys at RCCW because they actually paid me, which shocked me. That first day they handed me an envelope. I'm like, what's this for? And they're like, well, we booked you. And I'm like, okay. And I opened it up and I'm like, holy crap, I got paid to do this.
Well, yeah, I got paid. I got beer money here now,
Holy
folks.
cow. I was kind of shocked, but so I said, we need to write me off, but I don't want to just disappear. So what can we do? And he's like, well, maybe something could happen. And I just said, how about I go through a table?
Perfect.
And he was like, okay.
I remember, man, you were pretty nervous that night going through that because it wasn't like your standard little wooden table that's kind of sawed
It was
off.
a metal table.
It was, it had the metal bracket around it, and then it had, what was it, like plastic, was it maybe? Yeah, I can't remember. I don't even know what to
A
describe.
lot
it
of
wasn't
things
wood.
could have gone wrong with
A lot of
that
things
table.
could have, but you went up and through it perfectly, and I still remember that. I still got shots of that with your little bumper shoes or the Converses just hanging
these are the
out.
ones? These are the shoes.
Were those the ones? I thought they were blue. Maybe.
Nope.
Nope. They
These
must
are the
okay.
ones.
Those are it? Wow.
Yep.
Game worn. You're wearing them here.
Yep.
And just to clear the air, for those who don't know wrestling and they call it fake, what they mean is it's predetermined and it's staged. Which means it's choreographed fighting, just like you said for theater. Now, it does hurt to take the bumps. It does hurt to take a chair shot. The ropes aren't that forgiving. It can knock the wind out of you if you don't know what you're doing properly. But it's not fake in the.
And mistakes happen, and people
sure,
get hurt,
What my trainer, Curtis Hughes, said is it's like you're going to get into a car accident and you know you're going to get into it, so you're able to prepare for it.
Yep.
And sometimes it's hard because you know you're going to get hit by something, so you try not to tense up it looks like you don't know it's coming because obviously it's staged. So I know if someone's going to hit me with a chair or something, and you're kind of like tensing up, like, where is it? Where is it? And also, boom, you get hit, and it's like, oh, man, okay. So it is tough because you do know what's happening, so you kind of, like, your natural reaction is to flinch. If I were to come act like I'm going to, oh, Jesus, I got to catch up, man.
Yes, you do.
If I do, it would be called the Brews and Pissing podcast at this point.
By the way, we're stepping it up for the next one.
I'm almost done. Speaking of which, you like this? I got my Island City sweatshirt on.
That reminds me, and I'm not supposed to talk about certain things.
That's okay. Don't talk about that.
Yet.
I'm not twisting your arm. I'm like twisting your arm.
Needless to say, I do need to get down there and buy some additional merchandise.
We'll get down there.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
My wife told me I look like Mr. Rogers with this on today.
Won't you be my neighbor?
I might. You know what? Let's just do it right here. Won't you be, please won't you be my neighbor?
Oh, we're not even cutting that out, are we?
Hell no.
No, I did a really bad pour on that.
That's okay. This isn't, it's not a beer school. We're just here, two gentlemen, distinguished gentlemen, having a couple
Okay.
beautiful beers.
You know what? We're going to flip the script here.
Flip it.
Usually,
We're gonna
he's
do a-
supposed to be the one asking the questions. And that's fine.
That's fine.
You know what? That's a much better pour.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to literally,
Take the reins.
I'm going to intercept this show right now, take it over, and I'm going to start asking you some questions.
This one even smells better.
Well, yeah, probably.
It's got like a piney smell. Smells good. Okay, yeah.
So here's
do it.
So it's get to know your host here, and so we're gonna get to know a little bit more about Chris Jacobson because I've got some questions that I don't know the answers to that I would like to know.
Good. Let's
So
do it.
you told me how you got into wrestling.
Yep.
But here's the question, and I've never asked you this, and it's bothered me that I've never asked you this.
And I'm just a text message away.
I know that's the worst part. How many times have we hung out, and I've never asked you this?
Yeah.
Why did you get into wrestling? Where was that point where you're like, I want to do that? So I'm gonna uproot, move to Atlanta,
This question.
and
I love this
I'm gonna
question.
because I've never asked you this, so I do not know the answer to this.
So
Yep.
I didn't know that I liked it. I knew I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was an adrenaline rush, and the live crowd there's the adrenaline rush. When you're in front of a bigger crowd is even better. Even 100, 150 people is still an adrenaline rush when you get some sort of feedback. The only time it's bad is when there's no feedback. So if someone's booing you and telling you suck, you're doing a good job. When someone's cheering you and telling you you're doing a great job, you're doing a good job. It's when they're quiet is the problem. So getting a reaction has always been something I loved. I always tell people this. Had I done wrestling before I went to college, I would have been probably a theater major with probably some sort of film background because that I found out after the fact that I love doing that. And kind of hence the reason I'm doing this now is because, granted, I'm not in front of a live audience, but I get to sit down and just talk with people. I like being in front of a camera. I love it. I'm an only child, so that might be part of the reason. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with saying, yep, I enjoy that. People know I do. Whether they like it or not, I don't know, don't care. But being the center of attention and getting a reaction is so much fun.
I think there's something to be said about that I think you made it sound I think a little more selfish than what you actually feel though.
Probably.
Because you're kind of like me, and I think some people think the same thing about me. They're like, oh, you love the sound of your own voice. You just love being the center of attention. That's not actually what it is for me. What it is for me is I love to entertain people.
Yes.
I
so
love
fun.
people to be excited. I love people to be happy. I love people to be sad if that's what we need to get out of them. Like that's what I want to do, and I want people to be entertained. So that's why I used to do.
So fun.
See, so that's why. So I used to do a lot of community theater, and that was it for me. Is like I don't need to be center stage. I don't need to be the star of the show. But when I'm out there, I'm going to do something that's going to make them react, and they're going to enjoy it. Because I want them to be entertained.
Such a good.
Like
that's a better analogy than what I just put out there. I think.
And that's the thing is like that can easily be interpreted as you just like to be the center of attention.
Yep.
But it's not that. It's not it for me. It's just I know that when I'm entertaining people, it's getting them out of their own skin. It's getting them out of the thinking about the politics, all the other crap going on in their lives, but they're taking a moment to laugh and to enjoy something that gets them out of their own head.
That's so true because, I mean, obviously the world is what it is. There's good things, there's bad things. When you're trying to entertain someone or a crowd or whatever it might be, hopefully we're doing that right now. And hopefully it's just something that they can relax, take themselves out of whatever is going on right now and just have some fun. And maybe even it's just thoughtless fun, just relaxing. But yeah, I think you're right about that because right now I'm not in front of a live crowd and I'm still loving this. Right now it's just you and me. Oh yeah,
we forgot to cheers.
Oh, I'm sorry, especially the dockside.
I know.
So going back to that, yeah, you're right, because I don't have a live crowd here, so I'm not going to get a reaction from anyone, but I'm okay with that too. It's just, I don't know. There's something about entertainment, and I didn't know I loved it until after college. So a great question to ask me, because people have asked me that, and I go, had I done that first, I probably would have been a theater/film major at college instead, because I didn't know I liked it until I got into wrestling. And to be honest with you, wrestling, I mean, it's fun, it's awesome, it's a live crowd, but the bumping isn't awesome. Some people get a joy out of that. I'm like, why? How? I mean, it hurts. You're sore. It stinks.
Those are called sadists, Chris. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know some people get
You
an
put the
adrenaline
curse
rush.
on him, not me. I didn't say that one.
I know some people get the rush out of it, of the like getting hurt or whatever it is. That is definitely not me. Hence why I was a manager and not.
Yeah, you only take like one bump, maybe.
No, and you know, Chase McCoy, bless him, put me exactly where I needed to be on that table. And
You did, yeah.
although I did come down funky on my arm, I don't know if I ever showed you. I had a bruise, literally from here to here. My entire arm here was black and blue for about 2 weeks.
I wonder if that's like the part of the table where you went through.
I
It
think,
was
well,
metal.
because I was supposed to come down like this, and I came down like this, and I think I came down on the edge of it.
Like this.
But the funny thing is I didn't even know the bruise was there until I was at home and I was like stretching like this, and my wife's like, "What the heck did you do to your arm?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I went and looked in the bathroom. I'm like, "Holy crap!" I mean, literally from elbow to my pit, it was like black and blue, and so I didn't feel it. So I mean, there's that.
And
I
then
guess.
and then you tell, "Oh, baby, what did we do last night? Was this a 50 Shades of Grey or
I thought
what?"
you wanted to keep this family friendly.
It's family friendly. You got to
Okay,
know what we're
that's it.
talking about to get it.
Oh, speaking of which, remember, folks, Island City also family friendly. So bring the entire family down, enjoy games, and have a good time.
Unless I'm hosting trivia, then it gets a little dirty on round 3. 'Cause I've had 3 docs.
Why have we never hosted trivia together?
We should. I'm still in contact. I'm doing one on the 21st with my dad of December, so it's
All right.
we should do one in the spring.
I know that Isaac and I from the River, shameless plug.
That's also a
we're
radio
going to be
group.
doing a music one.
Yeah, you told me about that. You did one with
Gabe.
Gabe, right? Yep.
Yeah, before he decided that Iowa was a better state than Minnesota. Anyway, so no. So
cute.
Isaac and I are going to be doing a music one in the first couple of weeks of
That's fun
January.
because
so.
you did it differently. You were asking music questions, and then you also had sound snippets.
Well,
That's fun.
Well, that was the thing, is we kind of raised the bar a little bit, because
Yeah.
like people were like, "Well, we've never done this before," and then we had brought a TV screen and
Yeah.
done like visual clues, and like people were like, "What is this witchcraft?" And it was like, but this was the way we always like.
Dude, when you did that, then they started putting it up on the monitor.
Yeah.
And then they made me, make a slideshow presentation, and I did that, not a problem. And then it just kind of went away.
Well, that was
I don't
just
ever know what happened to
so
that.
I used to do it for the River back when Ground Round was still open, and that was just
Yeah.
always the way we did it. So to me, that was just par for the course.
Yeah.
So when they asked me to do it down there, I just did it the same way. So I get down there and they're like, "Hey," I'm like, "Hey, where's the TV I hook up to?" And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Okay." So I luckily had a.
What is this witchcraft you speak
I
of?
know. So thank goodness I had like a TV in the basement I wasn't using. So I ran home and brought it back, and I would just set it up on the table so they could see it. But talk about a raise your anxiety level day. I'm just like, I should have asked some questions before I
Guess
said
so.
yes to this.
Okay, so do you have another question you want to know about me? Because you said you want to get to know the
Alright,
host, and that we just
so-
expand on that bad boy.
When I mean, obviously, so Mr. Hughes was your trainer, but
Yeah.
as you were starting to, so when you first started training, were you actually doing matches? Were you a heel or were you a face? Were you a good guy or a bad guy?
I was mainly always good. The
baby
bad guy
face.
has, and this isn't my quote, this is people that were in Atlanta. They said, "You have," and I quote, this is not me saying this, "You have too pretty of a face to be a bad guy. Your smile is too pretty. You don't pass as a bad guy." And I've tried it. And my natural reaction is not to be a dick to people. Like the kids, like, you know, I have students that come and watch me here in Winona. My first instinct is not to piss off my students that I also teach.
Well, okay, so I think the perfect example of what you're describing is The Miz. Because The Miz never has to change his character, but he can be a good guy or a bad guy as that character. And I think it's kind of the same thing. He's kind of a pretty boy. He's kind of not that. Don't take that the wrong way, but
I'm fine with it. It's fine.
You're pretty, is what I'm saying, Chris.
Oh, I'm flattered. I'm flattered.
But
Paul.
no, it's one of those like he's a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
And
I didn't think he was good looking at first. I thought he was like a little strange,
probably
but
better
now he's getting better.
Yeah, he was kind of a sleaze back in the day.
Well, you know what they
but,
say: the richer you are, the prettier you can be.
Well, yeah, you know, once he started wearing suits and like, you know,
he does look a lot more professional than he used to with that stupid little top hat thing he had on, or a fedora. I don't even remember. Remember when he was
I
with?
don't remember that.
Yeah, when he was with
What was
John
that?
Morrison. Didn't he have like a little hat on? His little spike hair in the middle here.
Oh,
when he was like
yes.
ECW.
Yes, that's right. And he even wore like the really baggy shorts,
Yeah.
like the jean, like the
Like a
patched
backyard
up
wrestler.
Jean. Oh yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I'm thinking like now.
I know what
you
you're
know,
talking. Yep.
Where's the suit?
He had such an annoying face though. He looked like Beans from Even Stevens. I thought he had the face of like Beans.
That was
from
after
Even.
I never watched Even Stevens. That wasn't my. That
Well,
wasn't my
I
game.
just know Beans because he was like ugly.
Oh,
as
okay.
shit.
All right.
Yeah, so.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, anyways, where the heck were we going with that one? Oh, yeah. I've pretty much always been a face good guy for the most part. I've tried to be a bad guy, never really passed well.
Okay.
So it's just easier for me to go out there and tear my pants off, do the tearaways.
Yeah.
Have the crowd, cheer. It's just always been easier. However, I can speak my mind still and get away with it a little bit. So
Perfect. So that was actually just a prerequisite question to my actual question.
all right, what's that?
So when you knew that that's what you were going to be, that you're a baby face and that's what's going to happen, who would you say you got your inspiration from to find your character? Whether it's, I mean, and I know some wrestlers do not get it from other wrestlers. Some
Yeah.
wrestlers get it off of
So I've
actors
always
or something. But I'm curious where your inspiration came
It's a
from.
good one. I've always enjoyed wrestling-wise, The Rock on the mic and the entertainment aspect, and also Shawn Michaels' flamboyancy.
Oh, so good.
But I enjoy the Magic Mike movies.
This makes a lot of sense.
Does it
now.
make sense with my tearaway pants and my shiny vest and all that?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. No, this
So
makes a lot of sense.
I've always enjoyed that kind of stuff. Flamboyancy basically is kind of where I'm at. I mean, heck, I am a 5 or 6 time champion of the world's sexiest man on Royal Caribbean cruise ships. So at the high seas and international waters, I thought about changing my name or my gimmick. Not much of the change because it would still be the same thing, but maybe revamp the trunks and put world's sexiest man on it. I don't know.
Why not?
I mean, right now I got a handshake on my butt. It looks kind of weird. Looks like 2 people are shaking over my hole.
The deal.
They're
The
shaking
deal.
over my hole.
It sounded like a good idea at the time.
There's a whole lot of deal making going on back there.
Oh my gosh. Deals over holes.
Yeah, well, and so the deal came by with, I'm like, well, I'm also a real estate agent, which as you are now as well. I'm like, so I can play off of that, but still have the flamboyancy. So I don't really know where I was going with it, but the tearaway pants are a good idea. The people like it when I tear them away. They cheer. So, I mean, gotta be doing something right if they like it.
I will say, I'm glad you're not baby oiled up anymore, though.
Well, now that I'm married, I don't think I can have anybody wipe oil on me anymore, legally.
Unless it's her.
Well, she doesn't want to be in the spotlight. That's so funny because my wife, Stephanie, and I, we are like 2 opposites when it comes to this.
That's why it works, though.
It might be. We're just like
That's
even out.
That's why my wife and I, so I'm the same way. I'm the, let's go out, let's have fun, let's
Yep.
chat with people. And she's like, people suck, I'm not going out.
I'm staying home.
Yep.
Leave me alone, kids.
Yep. Nope, she's very much when it comes to crowds, she's just like,
Yeah.
no.
Well, see, now Stephanie wants to get into a little bit of maybe trying to help me edit these because, like I told you, I'm just learning this on the fly as we go. You just taught me some stuff in a half hour that I didn't even know, and that's what I love about this is it's another learning experience. But again, I get to be in front of the camera like I enjoy, get to talk to people, because this is funny. This summer I was thinking about starting this. I just didn't know what it was going to be, and then I eventually came up with the name and all that. Well, I'm at the Austin County Fair with Stephanie's friends, and I talk a lot to people. I talk, and they're like, "You see my watch? It says loud noise right now. Like you're in a loud noise situation. Is this you?" And I'm like,
I've had that happen to me.
well, there was a
To
band.
the loud people.
To the loud people. But actually, there was a band actually playing there, though. But she thought it was so funny because it popped up as I'm talking to one of Stephanie's friends' boyfriends. And I'm just like going off just talking. I'm like, I enjoy doing this. And if I sat down with people with a glass of beer or bourbon or anything and just talk, I will enjoy that. And like right now, we've probably been going for about an hour, I bet you. And we're only scratching the surface at the moment. So that's why I was like, well, maybe you can get into it and be in the background and learn how to edit this for me. And she's like, well, I'd love to try to do that and maybe learn how to do that. And I'm like, that would make my job easier because I'm learning it as well. But if I had someone that knew how to do it, she could just do it for me, and then I can get not the host, I am the host. Get my people in here, whoever it is, my guest, and so I don't know, I'm just taking it from there.
There you go.
And so here we are.
Look
Now,
at all that backstory you've just gotten on what you're watching right now.
Well, here's another backstory though.
Ooh,
The reason like now you said that the reason you and your wife are real estate agents is because I sold and helped you buy your home, and then about a year later, you guys got into it, and you said I was the inspiration, whether you were just being a nice, friendly guy, because you are a nice, friendly guy, no matter what.
Great Chicago song.
Yeah.
You're the inspiration. I'm sorry.
No, keep
Continue.
going. So now we both are in the game of real estate, which is awesome because I'm like, well, I wish you and me had every deal together because it'd be so easy. We just sit here and talk.
Although she did call me a week and a half after the closing to complain to me that the toilet was plugged.
Well, I didn't stick the tampon down there. I promise you that if that's what it was.
I had, as nicely as possible, I just said, did you buy a plunger? She said, no. And I said, start there.
The person that bought your old house?
Yeah, no, the person that bought, remember the deal we did?
Yeah.
Yeah, she called me a week and a half later and said the toilet was plugged up.
No, the person that bought your old house.
No, I'm talking about our deal that we did just this last
Gotcha. Yeah,
summer.
Yeah, that one. Gotcha.
Yep. She's like, the toilet's plugged. And I'm like, did you try a plunger? No, I don't have one yet. Start there.
Start with the plunger. Usually everyone has one right next to their toilet.
I didn't hear back from her, so it must have worked.
Well, didn't that one have a septic though in it?
No, that was right over on High Forest.
Oh, that one. I thought you meant the one over in Wisconsin.
No, I'm talking about the one.
Forest,
yeah.
Okay. I mean, they remodeled that whole bathroom, so I don't know. But anyways,
put some more fiber in your diet,
or maybe less. It'll go down. Okay, that's enough of that one.
Anyway, moving on.
About poopy podcast.
That part's getting cut out.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I kind of like to just let it flow. Not that way either. Just our conversations. So, okay, now
I almost got dockside.
This is another fun fact about you, though.
Oh no!
Is you're now selling houses? Well, you used to sell cars.
Yeah.
Literally next door to this building.
That's right. I
the
did.
old Cars and Credit.
I did.
And I didn't know that until you told me when we first started hanging out in about 2018. I didn't know that. I didn't know you were into selling cars. I'm not sure if you were into it, but you did it.
I did. I actually enjoyed it for a while. Started as a salesman there, and then I ended up over at Walls.
Yeah, the old Walls Under the Bridge.
Worked for Walls Under the Bridge, doing sales there, and then got asked to come back to Cars and Credit and manage the place, which I did. And I went back, and I could do a whole podcast just on what it was like working at a buy here, pay here. Because I mean,
don't do a whole podcast. But what was it like? Was it a decent experience? Was it a crappy experience? Or like where were we at?
Here's the thing, and I know that, and I'm gonna give Cars and Credit some cred here because
you can give Cars and Credit some credit.
No, I am because I think they have a bad rep in this town, and I think that that's sad because what they do is provide quite a service for people who cannot get financing. And the problem is you're dealing with the non-payer. You know, that's why they're there. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being honest. You know, there's a reason that they have to work with a buy here, pay here. They don't have credit. They have bad credit. They can't get, approved anywhere else.
Well, you're always the bad guy when you got to tell them, hey, you're not making your payment, and I got to take your car.
Well, and that's the thing is we up front, we were like, if you communicate with us, we will work with you. Well, obviously they have a history of not communicating. That's why we're in this position.
Sure.
So, and we tell them, we're like, talk to me. We'll work this out. They don't. They avoid it. They avoid us. They avoid the calls. They avoid we literally had, I'm not there anymore, but they have door knockers. They would literally go to the door.
Really?
And just be like, hey, just here to remind you, you're behind in your payment. Can you give, at the time, well, if it was me, it was like, can you give Paul a call right now? Oh, I'm on my way to work. Okay, well, please give him a call. I mean, they're not there to take the car. They're just there to remind you, hey, you're kind of dodging us. Please give us. I mean, we did. I
wouldn't have expected that.
But the thing is, they do. I mean, at least when I was there, I guess I don't know how it is now. I would imagine they still practice business the same way. But I mean, we did everything we possibly could to help keep those people in there. Because let's be real. Do we want to repossess that car?
No.
Absolutely not. We want
money to do
exactly. It costs them. I mean, they're all, oh, you just do this, you can repossess. No. We lose money if we repossess your car.
Yeah.
We want you to keep it. We want you to pay for it. We want you to use it for what you need it for. Getting to work, getting your kids around, but it's just, if they don't communicate, we don't have any other choice.
So you literally had door knockers going around?
Yeah.
Like a physical person?
Yes.
I just assumed a letter would come in the mail, and if you didn't pay it, the big hook comes and snags her and takes her away.
Nope.
Wow, that is actually... And another funny thing is, the owner, he used to donate a car to the Hope auction every year.
Bob Shaver?
Yep. And so I'm like, so you get the people that don't pay here, and then they make you out to be the bad guy when it's like, come on.
Well, and that's the thing is, and here we are getting like the world today, which it's just unfortunate in the world today. Are you way more than likely to leave a review if you had a bad experience?
You're gonna leave it if you had a bad one for sure, and highly unlikely even if you had a good one.
That's the problem is you always hear about the bad stuff.
Yep.
So as Cars and Credit gets this bad rep, it's because they're hearing from the 6 or 7 people who got their cars repossessed, or they weren't working with them, which they just weren't working back, but you don't hear about the 45 other people who had a great experience because they made all their payments on time and they had a car that they could rely on, and it's a crappy situation for all parties. Cause once again, I'm sure they would rather be buying from a Dahl or or a Sugarloaf or a Chrysler, but they've put themselves in a position or gotten into a position that they have to go to a buy here, pay here.
So what were was it like a monthly payment? Was it weekly, bi-weekly, or did you just kind of make up your own
payday payments? So it was like whenever they got paid.
Oh, gotcha.
Because and they still to this day say your job is your credit. So they give us pay stubs to show this is what I'm making. Okay. This is what I get.
Gosh, financing a car just sounds so risky because my dad and we do the contract for deed with the house. However, we're getting a hefty down payment on something. And granted, it's still your normal thing. However, when you get a house back, most likely it's increased in value, whereas a car, except for these last couple of years, go that way.
Right.
They go down. So getting back and repossessing a depreciating asset sounds terrible. But they're still in business, so they're obviously doing something okay.
And the thing was, there were so many days where, you spend most of the day getting yelled at, getting screamed at, having someone threatening you because you took their car.
Yeah.
or making you feel like crap because you're like, how am I supposed to get my kids to school now when it's like, well, okay.
T-bus.
Well, but my point being is like, so you have all these people, but then you've got that one person that week that says to you, thank you, because no one else would help me get a car right now, and you guys did.
Well, that's
and that just
interesting.
like wipes the slate for me. Like there were so many instances in that business where someone they were so grateful. They're like, we need this car, and those are the people who made every payment on time, every time, because they knew that this is their last chance.
Yeah.
I need a car to get to work. I need a car to be able to provide for my kids, my family.
Sure.
And they're like, I am not going to screw this up anymore. And, they took that, as that opportunity. They're like, okay, I mean, these are the last people who are going to bet on me. I can't screw this up.
No, because you're not getting anyone else.
Well, exactly. So there was a lot of people who came into it with that mindset.
Yep.
I loved those customers. They were phenomenal. They were fantastic.
Yep.
They were the ones that if they called me and said, I'm really short this week, can I get you next week and pay double? I'd be like, of course.
Yep.
I didn't even think twice about it because they always paid on time. They always communicated. It was those ones that just, I always had to call them, and they were always dodging. And pulling back the curtain a little here, those are the ones that if I had to go repossess their car, yes, I took pride in that. Yes, I enjoyed it.
Hold on, you had to go do it?
Oh, yeah. I repossessed cars. I'm opening a whole other door here.
So you sold cars. You're the one that had to talk to them about their payments.
Yep.
And you had to go repossess it. I thought like Borkowskis would go repossess.
Ooh.
Oh, so you guys had a hook?
Well, because they also own Angst Motor Service out in Minnesota City.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Did you ever have fun doing it?
Oh,
Like, I see those videos
Oh,
out
no,
there.
here's the thing, though. We
Until
didn't
someone
need
chases
a
you
tow
down.
truck. We didn't need a tow truck.
Yeah. Oh, you had a spare set of keys?
Yeah.
Oh,
Every
shoot.
vehicle that was financed, we had a spare set of keys.
So they just come out. There's no
Well,
car
and here's
left.
the thing. In Minnesota, so this is the crazy thing about Minnesota. If you, let's say your payment is due on Friday, and we close at 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So your payment is due by 6 o'clock on Friday. If you did not pay by 6 o'clock on Friday, I could take those keys, I could go to your house, I could take your car and drive it back to the dealership without talking to you, without calling you, without even knocking on your door telling you I'm taking your car. I did not need to do that. In the state of Minnesota, I can do that. Our neighbors next door, a whole other ball game. They protect the non-payer. Over there, I have to send a letter to them telling them, and it has to be certified. You have to do a certified letter saying you have 15 days to get current or I'm taking your car.
What do you mean by my neighbors over there? Like your physical neighbors at your house?
Wisconsin. Over in Wisconsin.
Gotcha, okay.
Sorry, yes, I'm talking about Wisconsin. Wisconsin, yeah, I would have to send a certified letter saying you have 15 days to get current or I'm taking your car. And here was the kicker, though. If they refused to sign for it, the 15 days didn't even start until I got the letter back.
Oh,
And that
man, what a pain.
And the thing is that they could attempt to re-deliver 3 times. So by that point, they've had almost, and then the 15 days, they've had 3 weeks to continue to not pay, to hide the car, to move, or whatever it is. So and I feel bad saying it, but every time someone came in and they're like, oh yeah, I'm from Wisconsin, we were just like, oh.
Yeah, and there's a lot that come over from Wisconsin because they're literally 2 miles away.
Oh, yeah. So and I don't know if this is a fact or not, but I thought I heard that they actually don't finance over there anymore, and I could be wrong.
That would make sense.
I could be wrong.
I wouldn't want to do that either.
But yeah, Minnesota though, literally 6:01, the day you're due, if you haven't paid, I could literally jump in your car with those keys and take off without even having to talk to anybody.
So then, okay, so you had all these different hats at the same place. Would you get paid salary, hourly, commission, everything?
Both. So I had I had a guarantee.
Yep.
Both as a salesperson and as a manager. I had a salary, and then I had a commission based off of how many cars we sold, how many cars we lost. Because, I mean, let's be real, you lost some, you know.
So then what happens there? You just take the hit?
You write it off.
Oh,
yeah, it sucks.
jeez.
Yeah, I mean, because
It's like just theft of a car.
literally had a woman come buy a car, gave me the sob story. I gave in, you know, because there are stipulations, like you have to be at your job for so long, because you have to kind of prove that you have some roots in the area. Well, this woman literally sat in my office crying to me about how I'm literally going to lose my job if I don't have a car. I have to have a car. She'd only been there for like 6 weeks, so I was already like, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this, because ours was always 6 months to a year.
Yep.
And she'd only been there for 6 weeks, so I was like, oh, I really shouldn't do this. But I gave in. I knew a woman that worked at the place she was working. I'd called her. She's like, "Oh yeah, she's great. She's fantastic. I think we're gonna be just fine." I'm like, "Okay." So I financed the car. It was we were doing a promotion where we deferred your down payment. So she didn't no money up front.
Wow, that's risky.
Yep. So it was no money up front and nothing. So I had not gotten a dime from this woman. First payment comes up. Doesn't pay. Call her. Check her house, check her work, check her house, nothing. Finally, I called her work. Yeah, she just started no-showing. She hasn't been here in a while.
Oh, jeez.
Find out that she moved back. So she was originally from the Chicago area.
Oh, yeah.
Moved back there, and I'm like, it's gone.
Write it off.
She literally got a free, not a dime was paid on that
they
car.
can't even, like, go get a judgment against these people? I mean, that's what we would do.
That's not, see, the thing is a lot of people hear that, like, well, why can't you just, like, to get a judgment on it?
I mean, the judgments are kind of useless unless you're going to hold it against them for something else, but they already can't get credit anyway.
Well, first you have to find them, because that's the other thing is, like, half the time.
Send the certified mail, right?
Exactly. Half the time you don't even know where they are anymore. You know, that's the problem. And then, even if you do get the judgment, half the time you're not going to get the money anyway, because, you know, there's a reason they're not paying. As you said, most of the time it's because they don't have a job. They don't have a job, you can't get paid anyway. So you just spent all these court fees to not get a dime back anyway. Right. We just had the policy that was like, we're just not even going to do that, you know? I mean, if everything is very solid, it's like, okay, we know they're working, we know they're still in town, and then we'll do it, you know? But I think in my entire... And I worked for them for almost 5 years. No, 6 years, almost 6 years. I think we took one to court.
Okay. Did you get anything back?
We ended up settling. They actually ended up just like they didn't think we were actually going to do it.
Oh yeah,
and then
the waters.
And then we did it, and they were just like, they just paid us, and then we were done. So we didn't actually. So we were so
much easier when you do that, right?
Well, we were supposed to go to court, and then they was like, oh God, they're actually going to do this, and then they just.
Yeah, the people, they would just realize it's easier just to pay your bill and keep the thing than running around.
But once again, like, for lack of better terms, like, we were in the business of helping people. That's what we were trying to do,
yeah,
you know? And it just, once again, it stinks. This is kind of turning into a, like, promotion for Cars and Credit, but I mean, literally, like,
I'll start my own one up over there.
I seriously, like, I feel terrible because, like I said, I know that they have kind of a bad rep, but it's like
that's just because of those bad reviews and the few people that didn't pay their damn bill, and they're just mad.
Well, and then everyone's
Paul came and took the keys, took the car out of their driveway.
Well, but the thing
with
is,
the car seat in it, probably.
Then some people are like, oh, they're overcharging. I'm like, yeah, because they're taking all the risk. Like, that's the thing is, you can't take all the risk and not expect to get something. So for people to be like, oh, their cars are overpriced. Well, yeah, that's because, okay, fine, go try and get a car somewhere else. Yeah, you know, they have to, or they'll go bankrupt. There's just, you can't, I mean, the amount of loss versus the amount of gain, if they don't charge a little bit more for their cars, they wouldn't be in business.
How old were you when you did this job?
Oh.
Were you in college or fresh out of college?
No. I'd been out of college for a while.
What'd you go to school for first? Before you answer that.
Mass communications with emphasis in photojournalism.
I thought it was emphasis in repossessions.
No. I went to school to be a photojournalist.
Well,
Never
we
did
got a
thing
video
with
going.
that.
We got a video.
Oh, well, video journalism, I guess. Not even journalism.
I heard
but,
there's
you
an
know.
opening at Casting Couch.
Ah, crap.
I'm in it.
But no, I think I'm trying to look back because
So, why did you take
I
this
think
job?
I started there in 2009.
Okay.
I think it's what, it was 2009 because I was with my wife. We were just dating, but I was with my wife at the time. So it was like 2009. So
How'd you decide to do that job? Like, say, hey, I need a job.
Yeah, I needed a job. I
Okay.
wanted something in sales, and they were looking for a salesperson, and I'd never done car sales. I'm just like, let's give it a whirl.
So did you? Okay, so I dealt cars for about 2.5 to 3 months in Atlanta. I was at a Kia dealer. Absolutely hated it, but the rules down there are a lot different.
Yeah.
The rules down there are they're open 7 days a week because here in Minnesota and Wisconsin, Sundays are closed.
Yep.
So every other Sunday I had to work from noon to 6 at least.
Yep.
I'm like, well, that's almost a full day right there. Then every Saturday it was 9 to 9. There's not even a car lot around here open till past 5 hardly on a Saturday. And down there it was 9 to 9. And if you had a deal going, you stayed there until that deal was done, no matter if you had to work the next day or not.
Yep.
I remember one time a person came in at about 8 o'clock at night. I was there till 11. And then I had to come in the next morning. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm down in Atlanta for wrestling, going back to that. And I'm sitting here dealing cars until all hours of the night, not making that much. Because we're at a Kia dealership. They were high volume. So the only way you were going to make any money on a new car is if you could sell them on a higher model, which was the SXs at the time. And if you could try to get it above MSRP, which rarely ever happened because we were a high volume one. So most likely it was under MSRP.
I was like, you were either at or under.
It was like a stipend. You sold the bottom of the line, $100. Next one, $200. I got really good at selling hybrids. And the reason why is because my dad had a hybrid Ford Escape in a mid-2000s one. So I knew like the ins and outs of buying or hybrids, and I sold those so easy, and I got $300 stipend on that.
Hey, just remember, don't talk to me about what cars your dad had because I was supposed to be getting your dad's Ram that you forgot to tell him about.
Well, I rammed you with that one by accident. I apologize on that. Hold on now. You gonna refill me or what?
I think it's your turn.
Fill you? Well, that's weird.
Isn't that empty? Oh, I thought I finished that up. All right.
So anyways, I'm down there. Oh, shoot. I'm down there dealing cars. I'm like, why am I down here dealing cars? I could do this back in Minnesota.
But you had to do something.
Correct, yeah.
Because you were in training. I'm assuming at that point you weren't getting paid anything for doing that. So
I still don't get paid hardly anything doing it. So.
Well, no. Well,
but I have a career. Yes.
Well, I was gonna say, so you're down when you're training, even though you were doing matches and stuff like that. You obviously, I would imagine you're not getting paid to do the matches because they're looking at it as this is training for you.
That's correct.
So you needed to do something.
Yeah, and
and car sales can be. I mean, there's people who make incredible careers off of selling cars.
So then what I would do is I would try to go over to the used side.
Oh God!
Because you can make a lot more.
So much more money there.
So I sold a used car one time. I made like $540. I'm like, I'll stay over here as much as I can. And they're like, no, come on over to the new side because we were right next to each other. And the other guy's like, no, you just stay over here. So I'd just kind of like float around between the two, hoping to get.
Oops.
Yeah. Because it didn't really matter, but I was Kia trained. So I'm like, what the hell's that matter? But anyways, so I would sell people on hybrids and I get $300 stipend. But the whole thing with Kia is their warranties are amazing. So the batteries were covered because that was number one question. What about the batteries? What if those go bad? I go, well, you got a 100,000 mile warranty or 10 years, whatever comes first. You probably won't even have this car in 10 years. So you're probably fine.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Well, and that was the one thing when I was in car. So, I mean, obviously at Cars and Credit, it was all used. But so when I went to Walls, the thing that killed me was that.
And what did Walls sell?
So Walls was, when I was there, was Chevrolet Buick GMC.
I know. I just want the listeners to know.
No, yeah, yes, sorry. Well, and they changed a lot. I mean, I remember people coming in for
Really?
service. I mean, they still had like Oldsmobile Pontiac. It used to
Oh,
be
yeah, the
it used to
Oldsmobiles.
be Buick Oldsmobile Pontiac.
Yeah.
They didn't even have Chevys for a while, but Pontiac and Olds, went under, so they had to make
Yep.
figure it out. So they ended up going Chevy, Buick, GMC. But the thing is like, you walk in the door and they flat out tell you you're going to make a crap ton of money in used, but then they keep pushing you to try and sell new, and it's like,
Why?
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 In one used sale, I made over $1,000. I was not able to make more than $250 on a new sale.
Mm-hmm.
Why in the heck would I waste my time trying to sell new cars
Yep.
when I could make thousands of more dollars selling? And I mean, and I get it. You need to be a team player, and if you can only get so many cars at the dealership if you don't sell this many new.
Yeah, that's true.
And I know, and there's a science to it. There is, and Spike, the guy I worked for at Walls,
Spike.
he was the sales manager there.
He's a wrestler.
He should have
Sounded
been.
like a
He was
wrestler.
tall dude too, but no, Spike had it down to a science. Like he was, and he could. I hate to say manipulate, because everything was kosher. Like everything he
Sure.
did was kosher. But the best word I have is he knew how to manipulate the system to make it work so well for our dealership, and our new sales always looked so good. And like I said, he wasn't doing anything wrong. Like everything was legit, but he had it down to a science so good. And I learned a lot from that man.
When you went there, did they put you through a training?
Yes. Well, I mean,
What kind of training?
Chevrolet. It was
Through
General
Chevrolet.
Motors. It was a General
Okay.
Motors training.
Gotcha.
And so I had to learn about, obviously, like the new cars and everything
Yep.
about them. But then there was just like they assume, when you're coming in there, you have some sales experience. So there
Sure.
wasn't a ton of sales training.
Just learning the cars, basically.
But that was the thing, is like, if you're a good salesperson, I don't care if it's car, I don't care if it's a widget, I don't care if it's radio advertising. If you're good at sales, you're good at sales.
Sure,
What you
sure.
need to learn is your product. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Like, and sales to me has always been one of those things that people are like, well, how do you be good at sales? I'm just like, that's hard to teach. That's something that you either are good at or you're not.
Yeah, you're not like in between, somewhere in limbo. You either suck at it, but you got to have a personality like you, where
Exactly. Like
you can just sit here and talk to it. Like
you have
you
to-
and me. Now we've been going for at least an hour and a half, and we're just sitting here talking, having a conversation. I feel like you have to do that with people, because then you can relate to them.
Well, they trust
and they
you.
trust you. Yes,
exactly. Yeah,
They trust you.
we just finished each other's sentence, basically.
Oh, that was cute.
But that's the thing about sales is, there's your slimy salesman,
Yeah, the guy with slick back hair.
and the
Paul, you know, slick back hair.
the snake skin boots, and like, yeah, I give you the best deal you've ever seen. That guy. As much as like when you think of salesmen, that's what you think of, and that's the sad part, is because
Yeah.
those are not the good salesmen; those are the snakes. The good salesperson is the person that gets the repeat business, because the
Yep.
people trust them, the people like honor them. They're like, you did right by me. There were so many times at when I worked at Walls that people would come in saying, I want this, I want it with this, and this. And I would sit and talk with them a while, and I'd be like, but that's not what you need. Like, I'd hear their story, and I'd be like, so why are you wanting a 2-door sport coupe when you have 3 children at home, and this is gonna be your main vehicle?
Because
this
Daddy's going through midlife crisis.
but that's my point. Is like, if you can get to the point where they trust you to be
Yeah.
like, oh, you're right, this is a bad decision, and you've literally just talked them out of a $75,000 vehicle to talk them into a
$100,000 Cadillac
well,
Escalade.
I was actually going the other direction,
Oh, you're such a nice sales guy.
but that was the thing is like
Yeah.
there was moments where literally people came in, they wanted this, and I'm like, but that's not what you need.
Yep.
Because I'd be like, oh, so you're buying this for a fun car? Well, no, this will be my regular driver. Okay.
The Corvette will be your regular driver.
So you're telling me, yeah, well, I mean, this is exaggerating a little, but yeah, okay. So you have 3 children. This is going to be your daily driver that you need to take them to school in, and you're wanting a Corvette coupe with 2 doors and 2 seats.
Yeah.
What's wrong with this picture? So I'm taking them out of the driver's seat of a, potentially $90,000 vehicle and saying, no, you need this minivan or third row SUV.
Yeah.
That's $40,000, and that for me got a lot of trust out of my clients and repeat business because they were like, you took the time to figure out what I needed. I mean, are you going to get the guy who's coming in to look for the fun Corvette and that's what he's specifically looking for? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll sell him that every day of the week and never on Sunday because we're in Minnesota. But you know what I mean? Twice on Saturday. We'll go with that. But when someone comes in and they open up their world to me and will tell me this is my world, and their world and what they're asking for don't match up, I don't have a problem telling them
See, that takes a lot
there's
of
something
balls
wrong
to do
here.
that kind of stuff.
But that's why I love house sales too, because I love.
Okay, go on, because I want to tell you what I like about it.
Because so for the same reasons, that's why I like house sales. When someone's telling me this is what they are looking for, but then I get to know them, like that's not what you need though. Like when someone, I'll just perfect example. I had a client recently that, I mean, she's got 3 kids, and she's also supporting one of her daughter's kids, and she's like, minimum 2-bedroom. I'm like, I don't think a 2-bedroom is going to suit you very well. That's going to be a very cramped place to be living.
Or you're going to repeat house sale.
Well, there's that too, but see that could be the slimy take.
That's a slimy Paul with the slick back hair.
Yeah, but it's like, so for me, like I sat down with her, I said, let's really look at what you need. And so we literally filled this sheet out and said, this is what's going on in your life. This is how many kids you have. This is how many spaces you need. So why are you looking for a 2-bedroom when you literally have 5 people in your household? Maybe
what we need to do is we need to make up a sheet of a background of these people and say, here, fill this out, and now let me assess. And then we'll do some pros and cons with you, and then we'll figure out here's what you need rather than what you want. Nope, I haven't.
How long have you been in the business?
10 years.
I'm just kidding.
I tell them, give me your resume. I want to know where you worked. No, but here's one thing that people don't understand about realtors, because we also, as realtors, people think we're slimy too. And I go,
well, it's a sales thing.
I know it's a sales thing.
We're all salesmen.
But I go to them, I go,
hey,
so you know, we have to follow rules. Car salesmen could lie out of their teeth to make a sale, and it could be false.
Well, but there are some realtors that
they can get sued, though. That's the difference.
But they're still out there.
Well,
there's some slimy ones.
I know, and I always try to put my clients at ease. I'm like,
in our area, there's some slimy ones.
Well, I'm sure there are.
Not mentioning names because then I'll get in trouble. But
well, that's okay. We don't need.
But names. You know who I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about because they're everywhere. Some of them are even veterans of the sales game. And it's like we have to follow these rules or we can get sued for big bucks. And we're not talking like $1,000 here. It's like $25,000. That's a few sales.
Well,
there.
you get fined. Your license will get suspended.
Yep.
So not only do you owe money when you can't make money. And oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's even worse. So that's even funnier because you don't need a license to sell cars. You can be any Joe Schmo. They'll put you through their little training course. And I got to tell you a story about my training course. and you can just go off and sell a car. You're not going to get your license suspended, but we can. Yep. And I always try to put people at ease. I'm like, it's not what you think. Like, yeah, it is a sales commission-based job, just like cars are, but we have to follow a set of rules. We have to do our due diligence of being basically a loyal dog to them because we can't disclose who these people are. We can't discriminate. We can't do any of that kind of stuff. I'm like, this is like when you're buying your biggest asset, which a house is pretty much everyone's biggest asset, the biggest purchase they'll make. We can't go around and be slimy.
No.
So I'm like,
well, especially these days. I mean, with the internet and everything,
no
like.
kidding.
And having people refer you.
See, here's the thing, though.
Huge.
When you get into a sale with someone, it's not like one day you go and buy a car. You can go out that day with the car and you're done. You almost become in a relationship with them from the day you start showing them houses to the day it closes, which could be anywhere from as early as roughly maybe 30 days if they're getting a
I was
loan.
just saying, yeah, yep.
All the way up to, man, it could be a couple months. So you're into a relationship with them. And not only that, it turns into almost a friendship because some of the people like you, I mean, I knew you before that, but you and me, we became pretty good friends because we're looking at houses. I learned who your family was. I know your kids now, and I also teach them, which is also crazy in its sense because I'm like, oh, I'm going to see your dad today. That's kind of funny. And you all of a sudden start knowing their family, and then you become friends with them. And then maybe they're playing on your sports team and stuff like that because I had one of those last year. He used to work at the Park Rec and sold him a house, and all of a sudden became good friends, and he comes to trivia with me every so often. I'm like, oh, it's kind of funny. You actually become friends with these people, and that's what it takes to get that repeat business is becoming almost family/friends with them, which that's kind of fun. And I don't know, I just feel like it's the safe purchase you can make because we can't dick you. We can't be slimy. You can try to be slimy, but
some do.
But I don't. Then, but if they could get sued, and that's not worth it. Not to get your license suspended or taken away, and then owe money on top of that.
Ugh.
That's like a kick in the nuts while you're already down.
Who knew this was going to turn into a real estate TED Talk?
Well, now
a sales TED Talk.
Now I want to go back to the car sales.
Yes. Okay.
So when I got into it, and Georgia has different rules because obviously they're open on Sundays, we were told by the management to call and call and call people to the point where they get so annoyed with you that they call our managers and complain about us. They go, we don't care if they call and complain about you. In fact, we will shake your hand and say, good job. So Dave and I, we were there. We worked at the same Kia dealership. We went over to the mall that was like a half a mile away. We took our business cards and put them all over the place. The security guards called one of our phones. I think it was mine. And I went and told the management, and they're like, we don't care. Good job. They said, just don't come back here and do this again. And I told our management, they go, you should go back and do it again. So this is where I'm going with this. I had a lead, and until they told you to take them off their list, you just kept repeating call. And you get those on your phone nowadays.
Yep.
So I kept calling this lady who wanted to buy a Kia Sorento SX. So it was top of the line. I'm like, oh, this is a good one. I'll just keep calling. Kept calling. Left messages. One day I'm at wrestling training, and I was just calling. No, wait, they called me back, and it was her boyfriend who called, and he's mad at me. Stop harassing my girlfriend. Stop doing this, stop doing that. Next day I go in, I think it was a Friday. I go in and tell the management, they're like, oh, yeah, good job, Later that day, they came in and bought a car from somebody else, and I got half the commission because she was already in my system under my name. And I go over to this guy, and they're buying a Kia Sorento, just like they were telling me they wanted to buy. As the guy's working on the deal with him, I go, hey, question for you, what's their name? He told me their name. I go, that lady's boyfriend, the guy that's sitting with her right now, just cussed me out last night on the phone about me harassing his girlfriend, and they're not going to buy a car. And they're here today buying it. Management was so happy about it. So they want us to harass people, though.
Why would you? Oh man,
Which part are you frustrated about? That I was supposed to harass people?
No, well, yeah, because we had a system like that too, and the funny thing is though, is it really depends on who the person is. Like I had a guy that came and bought a car from me because I kept calling him. He goes, I was impressed with your tenacity. So
ooh, tenacity, big word, guys.
But in certain, but I also had people that refused to come back because of it. So it's like it's
depends on who the person's personality is. See, now you told me you weren't a car guy, and here we just spent half hour talking about you dealing cars.
Yes.
So again, this podcast ain't just about classic cars or knowledge of cars. It's about stories about beer, cars, whatever.
Oh. Okay, so you have a lot of nice cars.
Yeah.
But what's the one that you can't have that you want?
That I can't have.
What's that one that you're like, oh?
Because I don't have the money to buy it yet? Or?
Whether it's money,
okay, it's a money situation then.
All right, so throw the money. Money is not an item. You can have any car you want.
Man. Oh, this is good. So, this is a good one. Because it used to be a Dodge Viper. All day, every day I would have said Dodge Viper.
Really? I never liked the Vipers.
Okay, but now that I'm getting older, so I got big into watching Ford versus Ferrari, the movie. And have you seen it?
Nope.
Oh, dude, you got to watch that.
I'm not a car guy.
You are. You dealt cars. You repoed cars. You repoed cars. I never repoed
a car. Okay, whatever.
All right. Well, you wanted my dad's Dodge Ram, damn it.
I didn't. My dad did.
Oh, yeah. Damn. Sorry, Ebners.
No, Ram.
It was Dodge Ram back when he bought that one because it's a 2012. Now it's Ram alone. So anyways, so Ford versus Ferrari. Backstory quick just on this. It was the 24 hours Le Mans race where they race for 24 hours. Okay, so you know that.
I know what it is, yeah.
Okay.
Or not that out of sorts.
Well, I mean, that's like a race that everyone knows because it takes place across
Well, do you want to know why I know about that one?
Why?
Because it's had some of the worst car crashes ever.
Oh, so you get a hard-on over car crashes. Got it.
I'm that guy at NASCAR. Crash! Come on, crash!
Some people are there for this.
Instead of the, oh, look at that, they're taking another left turn.
Ooh, in a circle again.
I digress again.
Go ahead. Okay, anyways, Ford built a supercar to compete against Ferrari, obviously, because that's what the movie is about. And so they built the Ford GT.
Yes, I was going to say, I think I know what this car is.
Okay.
Someone in town had one.
Yeah.
I saw them filling up at Gordy's.
What? When? How long ago? What color?
It was white. It was either white with blue or blue with white.
Okay. So anyways.
Sorry.
They built, I think it was 66. They built the Ford GT40. It was the one that competed against it. So they had some in the 60s. Then they remade them in about 2005 to 2009.
It was the newer one that he had, yes.
But now they make another one in 2020, 21, and Dahl Auto Museum down in La Crosse has one. I like the model year, the second one. Did I show you a picture at the last Remlinger auction? It was a white one with blue stripes. That's why I was asking you.
I think so, yeah. Yep.
That one went for $395,000. Those brand new were 150 back in '05. We didn't look at it. It was at the state fair.
Yep.
And I looked up to it. It was so funny. I was looking at him, talking about it. I'm like, well, how much are one of these? They're more than you can afford, kid. Kind of being a dick. I go, well, my dad fucking can. And I'm like, so.
Watch the language.
Sorry, kids.
You have to beep yourself.
Beep. All right. Well, anyways, it was funny because I was a high school kid at that point. In '05, I was like a junior in high school. And so I'm like, well, my dad can, obviously. I mean, whatever. But that model year, I love because it's a newer version that's replicated after the 60s version with all the newer parts in it. I mean, old cars, face it, they're going to have leaks. They're going to have problems. But it's also more of the story. It's from this year and all that. But I love that 2005 to 2009, whatever that is, the one you saw filling up. That's probably the car I would dream to have. Is that one. And I think it goes back to the backstory of, because that wasn't, if you'd asked me this question 4 or 5 years ago, it wouldn't have been that car. Okay. However, the background story on the cars, I actually like. So my dad and I differ from that because my dad likes the looks of a car, and I like the story behind a car. It also needs to look good. And I go back to the Mustang right there. It looks like your average, everyday convertible Mustang. However, it's the Ford Shelby GT500, and it's signed on the dash by Carroll Shelby, who's the one that invented or designed the GT40 that competed in the Le Mans race back in the 60s, and they won like 3 years in a row because Ferrari was the top dog, and Ford came in, built a car, and beat them like 3 years in a row. So I like a little bit of the story. So to me, that car back there holds a little place in my heart because it's signed by Carroll Shelby, who died back in 2012. So the GT40, the new version, is probably the car. If someone said, hey, you can have any one of them, what do you want? Probably be that.
All right.
Now, there's other ones that I really like, but I think that's the one I would want. Like, I would love a Rolls Royce. I think it'd be so cool. But here's the thing. Those cars are a maintenance nightmare because around here, we don't have anyone to fix those. You have to go to at least a minimum of either Minneapolis or Chicago to get anything done. So there's a Bentley on Facebook. It's like $39,000. It's an 06, really cool, like a baby blue almost, sapphire blue. And I'm like, wow, that'd be so cool. It's only $40,000. It doesn't have that many miles on it. But where am I going to get it serviced? So I looked up what's an oil change on one of those. About $500.
Ooh.
Yeah, when you go to Walmart and get a $40 oil change, it's like $500, huh? Wow. Because I usually do full synthetics in all mine, so I usually pay at least $100 to $150 on my oil changes, and I'm okay with that because of the fact that I'm a car guy.
Just kidding.
Yes.
Even with his oil changes, he pops his pinky. No,
it comes with little gold flakes in it, like a Goldschlager.
Oh, I love it.
The Goldschlager of oils.
The Goldschlager reference. I love it.
Well, bring some people back.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I like to do that because not only can you get a little bit more mileage out of it, but it's supposed to, performance-wise in your car, be better, and also longevity. It's supposed to be better. So
I'm looking up my dream car because I feel terrible that I have to look it up.
Oh, Paul.
I know. I have to remember for sure if it's the year.
Oh, well, that's okay. If you got to research yours, that's okay. We're just here.
For me, it's very specific.
Oh, okay. That's specific, huh?
Oh,
I guess I had an age range, but it's the GT40, the new version.
So mine, 1958 Corvette.
Well, that's a sexy one. I don't care who the hell you are. That's what color though? We're going red, silver. What are we doing?
Black.
Oh.
But here's the kicker.
Hold on. Interior is probably red. Or you want black interior?
Here's the thing.
Oh.
I want black interior, black exterior, and then there's the swoop on the side. I don't want that white. I want that gray, and then I want a red stripe separating the two.
Ooh.
I've seen one of those.
Oh, really? Oh, you've seen one?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So it's out there. I thought you were doing some customizations.
I
there
saw
for
it
a
at a Back to the 50s up at the
Oh,
State
that's so
Fairgrounds.
cool.
Yep.
You've been there then, obviously.
Many, many times. My dad and I used to go there every year.
Well, I guess you lived in Monticello, so that's not, what do you like,
Yep.
an hour
When I was
away
a kid.
maybe? At
Yeah, when I
most?
was a kid, we'd go every single year. So.
See, my dad and I, we went to it once or twice, and they used to have the auto auction up there. Well, now that's since gone, and obviously there's auto auctions, but there's, you got your, we got Remlinger here.
Yep.
Then we have, you got
Shout
your
out.
Meekum, and you got your Barrett Jackson now. That was by like Twin Cities auctions, but I don't know if they went out of business or someone bought them out, and maybe, who knows, Remlinger could have bought them out because he bought out the Spring Grove one, Spring Grove, right?
SG,
Yeah,
yep.
SG. So maybe they're all in cahoots and it was all bought out by who knows. But anyways. Cahoots.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah. All those cars. They're together. So anyways, we went up there. Such a cool experience. First of all, it's at the State Fairgrounds. So if you don't go to the State Fairgrounds other than for the State Fair, you don't even understand that it's a really nice place when it's not packed with 200,000 people in a day.
Back to the 50s weekend for me was like joy every
Yeah.
time. Like when my dad was like, hey, we're going to go to Back to the 50s. Because it was always like Father's Day-ish weekend.
Yeah, and that's the problem here. It coincides with our Steamboat Days,
Yep.
which there's always something going on here, which always stunk because I remember people would say, well, I'm going to Back to the 50s, and I don't know if I want to be in the Winona because we have a car show here, obviously.
Yep.
So it's like, which one do I go to? That one's cool, but this one has all our local friends here,
Yeah.
so it's one of those things. I don't know. It was fun, though. Then they had the auction, and then I bought a Porsche Boxster at the auction for like $8,000. It was a fancy car. It wasn't fancy.
Was that little yellow one?
Yeah.
I remember that
It was
one.
such a chick mobile, but that thing drove so smooth down the highway.
All right. That's all that matters.
And then I traded it in for the Supra that's back there, the new Supra, the launch edition Supra that's back there.
The red one?
Yeah, the red
Yep,
one.
I remember you telling me about that.
So funny. Andy Kaiser, I traded in because I was dealing with him. I was trying to sell it at the Remlinger auction. And I'm like, if I can get more money here than I get for a trade-in, I'll do it. But it has to make sense because of the tax purposes. So, long story short, I traded it in because it was the same price that I could have gotten over there. Plus, I would have had the auction fees and all that.
Yep.
So I traded into Dahl, Andy Kaiser. You said his name earlier. After I was getting the first oil change on the Supra, he goes, "Did you know that the clutch was going on that?" I'm like, "No," because the clutch was smooth. I thought. He goes, "Yeah, the clutch was on its last leg." I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, that thing was I thought it was smooth as butter. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. But again, when you buy an auction car, you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So it is kind of scary because there's no one to go to. All you can do is say, "Oh, damn owner," but you're not going to get a hold of the owner. So,
Yeah.
And that car up in the front there, that 1930 Model 8, that came from the same day we went up there. So funny. We had to call Justin and his wife to come up, and his wife drove him up, and he had to drive one of the cars back.
Call me next time you have to do that, man.
This was before you and me were hanging out.
I
regularly.
know. That's fair.
I know you'd enjoy it. Because didn't you want to get a cycle too, I heard? Don't tell your wife. Wives always seem to have a problem with motorcycles, and I don't know what the reason is. I mean, they bitch when you're there,
sadly,
but they don't want you to die.
Sadly, I'm more of a gamer than I am wanting a bike, so I'll probably put more money into a Xbox than I would into a motorcycle.
A little less danger, I suppose.
Well, it depends on who you're talking to. Because
Well,
my
you
wife
know-
may be like, "You bought an Xbox," so we'll see.
Well, that's the thing, they don't want you to buy the cycle because it's too dangerous, but then they want to bitch at you. So I'm confused. Don't you want me to die?
Nah.
Oh,
Potato once again. So.
Oh,
All right. So have an idea.
Oh gosh, here we go. Maybe this is gonna be the start of something new.
Nope. I was thinking about, okay, so how do we wrap this? Because it's
Would have been going for 2 hours now.
yeah. So I've decided that how we're gonna wrap this. Since we're doing this flip the script thing on you.
Yeah.
And it's been more me asking you questions. Oh, actually, it's been pretty even.
It's been pretty 50-50.
So, but what I'm gonna do is we're gonna end it on a rapid fire. This or this
Okay.
to you.
Okay.
So
I like this. This is
because
cool.
I did this a lot with. I did this with. I get to name drop now.
Here we go. Finally, a name drop.
Yep.
Paul.
So the first person I ever did this with, not quite as big of a name, but great guy. battling a very serious disease. Steve Mongo McMichael.
Okay. Yep.
That was
Met
my
him
first
too.
person. Jeff Hardy was the second person I got to do this with.
Okay.
And Rick Springfield was the last person I got to
damn.
do this with. So
Oh, my
it was
God.
a lot of fun. So it's rapid fire questions. I'm going to throw them at you, and I don't want you to think too hard about them unless you have some like crazy awesome story of a reason why.
Dude, I love this idea.
Okay, so here we go.
All right,
All
let's
right.
go.
All right. Here we go. First one. Hamburgers, hot dogs.
Hamburgers with cheese on it. With cheese.
Okay.
Well done. Hockey puck style. Don't judge me.
Okay. All right. Shoes or sandals?
Shoes.
Okay. Shorts or
Shorts.
jeans? Okay. All right. Well,
I hate pants for the most part. I would rather be in shorts of any sort. So
all right.
I
like
need
that.
to get the other part out.
That's
I love
fine.
summer.
That's fine. Oh, well, the next was summer, winter.
Summer. Oh,
Oh,
for sure.
okay.
Dude, boating on the Mississippi, golfing, softball, just
Okay.
everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boat, jet ski.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one because I have both. Which one's more fun? Jet ski. Which one's more practical? Boat. So I'd probably go with boat because I can bring more people out.
Well, I'm just for being in.
Well, for just doing it, jet ski for sure.
Perfect.
Dude.
All right. Top down, top up.
Top down.
Okay. Short sleeves, long sleeves.
Short sleeves.
Okay.
Sleeveless or tank top to be specific.
Well. Ketchup or mustard.
Ketchup.
Van Halen, Van Hagar.
I don't know the other one, so Van Halen. What is Van Hagar?
When Sammy Hagar was the lead singer of Van Halen, do you prefer the David Lee Roth era or the Sammy Hagar era?
I don't know. I don't really listen to their music.
Okay, here.
Give me something I
All right,
listen to.
so we're
Backstreet Boys are in
pump,
sync.
we're gonna pump the brakes for a second, and I'm going to predict, and he's gonna have to let you know the next time he does this, because I'm gonna make him. He has homework before the next one of these, whoever he interviews.
This wasn't supposed to be homework.
Yep, you get homework.
Ah, guys, okay.
So you have to listen to David Lee Roth era Van Halen, and you have to listen to Sammy Hagar era Van Halen, and then on the next one of these that you do, I don't care who your guest is, you have to let us know what you prefer.
Okay.
So I want to know.
So, want to go off on music just for a moment. I'm a big boy band guy.
I know you are.
However, not your typical Backstreet Boys and Sync as much.
He likes O-Town.
Well, no, they're okay. Westlife.
Oh, that's right. Westlife's your big one.
Westlife,
That's right.
the Irish boy band who is still singing to this day, and myself.
Okay, but didn't
But
there one of their main guy? Oh no, I'm thinking of
no,
O-Town again.
well, no, one of their not he wasn't the main guy, but one of their guys did drop out of the band, and he's a solo artist. His name is Brian McFadden.
Okay, that's
But
right.
so
That's Westlife. That's right. Because there was a boy band guy who was just on The Masked Singer.
Was there?
Yeah, he was an O-Town guy though.
Oh, maybe. I wasn't big into O-Town.
All right,
So I mean, I know the All or Nothing, but that's about where it stops.
Okay.
Was it Nick Lachey on Masked Singer one time? I'm pretty sure he was.
Yes.
So
He was.
98 Degrees.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So-
all right.
Okay, so I like Westlife, and yes, they used to be a 5-piece band. Now it's a 4, but they are still going, and they started in like 97, 98, and their only big song here was "Swear It Again." Funny story, they were not founded but discovered by Simon Cowell, and their big hit that they were supposed to have in America was "Flying Without Wings." However, Ruben Studdard sang it on American Idol and whatever one of those first seasons was,
Yep.
and ruined it.
I think that was
Not
only
didn't ruin it. He just ruined the.
He just didn't do a good job.
no,
on
no,
that
no.
song.
It was supposed to be debuted by Westlife, but he sang it before it ever got debuted.
Oh no!
So I'm pretty sure that was the story.
Oh, so that's how he
However,
ruined it.
"Swear It
Okay.
Again" was still a popular one. It wasn't as popular as your Backstreet Boys, but the fact that they're still going and all the other ones have already broken up and now they're coming back together, or reforming. It's kind of like, oh, okay, well, we're all doing that now. I mean, literally, I'm going to a '90s concert tomorrow, which is basically my childhood's coming back. Well, they've never stopped. They stopped for like a few years, but that was it.
I think now we're gonna go off on a whole nother tangent here. I think actually I think you and I had this conversation. I think COVID has really
Everyone
brought.
got bored. Give me more of my
Well,
music.
no, but that's the thing. I think COVID really took that nostalgia factor for people
Sure.
and changed it. So
Yeah.
so I'm going on a very thin limb here, but I am willing to bet that a lot of these. So there's a 2000s nostalgia tour that's going on right now.
Really?
There's
Who's that consist of?
Nelly.
Oh,
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Okay, so
Group.
more of hip hop.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And then there's the 90s one right now. I am willing to bet, and like I said, I'm going out on a very thin limb. I bet you these tours would not be happening had it not been for COVID. Because I
possible, yeah.
feel that COVID triggered, because people were sitting around, they didn't have anything else to do. I think that people got a lot of nostalgia itch during COVID.
Yeah.
That that was what made them feel good, like thinking about the good times, thinking about the times when things weren't so crazy, because in normal life you don't have time to do that.
Yep.
So having this downtime of I'm sitting at my house because I can't go anywhere and I'm literally twiddling my thumbs, a lot of people went back to these periods that gave them good and warm, fuzzy feelings, for lack of better terms.
We needed those things.
We did,
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm
for sure.
not going to deny that. I don't deny that, and I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying that I think COVID has, hell, the new kids on the block have their own cruise right now. Once again,
Cruises.
bet you that wouldn't have happened had it not been for COVID.
Probably not.
Because it's that nostalgia thing,
Sure.
and that's why nostalgia is such a powerful thing. Like when you think about, like right now on the river. Once again, I'm not trying to the shameless plug, but like we're doing a Christmas movie bracket. Like literally, we're like, what is the best Christmas movie?
Yep.
And we have gotten such a huge response already, but that's exactly why. Because people look back and they're like, well, what were the movies I loved as a kid? Like for me, Home Alone will always be the best Christmas movie, but that was a kid in 1990 when it came out. Some people think It's a Wonderful Life is the best one. Everyone's going to have a
brings you
different
back to
opinion.
wherever you were at that time and makes you feel great.
Exactly. I mean, and I think that this, like the 90s tour, for a lot of people is going to be one of those escapes that they can just
a small escape is all it is for a couple hours.
And that's why I love music.
Yeah.
That could be a whole nother podcast.
Well, I can always have you back. I'll always have you back. We just
we'll do a
one.
music one another time.
Yeah.
But
well, Stephanie and I were supposed to have one about the beer tales. I don't know what that was.
oh yeah, we were supposed to be doing rapid fire questions.
Well,
You got
you went
us
off
up
on
now.
COVID, and
Well, no.
it made
You
you
went
feel
off
good.
on boy
Westlife.
bands.
Well, okay, so we go back to American ones, and I liked LFO. If you don't know what that is, that's Summer Girls.
Yep.
But Girl on TV is such a good. I can listen to that song over and over. In fact, I've listened to that. That's one of the only albums I can listen to over and over and over and over and never get sick of it. And it came out in '98.
Oh man,
Love it.
Okay, fine. Back to it.
Yeah.
NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?
Ooh,
You had the answer, then it went
I
away.
didn't. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the songs that I really liked from both of them. Which one do I listen to more? I'm thinking it's probably Backstreet Boys.
Really?
But there's such like.
I would have pegged you as an NSYNC guy.
NSYNC has this No Strings Attached. They had This I Promise You. No, this I Promise You is such a good song. But they also had one called I'll Be Good For You. And it's like track number 10 or 12.
He knows the track number.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I used to sit in the back of my parents' van, my little headphones on, my CD player right here. And don't worry, it was a non-skip one. So if we hit a bump, I was good. And so you had to...
Oh, the ESP, electronic skip protection.
Yes,
I remember
ESP.
that.
So you had your little binder, which I had like a 109 thing binder flopping through them. So I had to put the disc in, and I had to go through the tracks in order to get the song I wanted. It's not like nowadays. I can just tell Siri what the heck I want. So I remember a lot of things, like what track number certain things were. Like I think on Backstreet Boys, the Millennium one, I think I Want It That Way is track number 2. I believe, because I think Larger Than Life is number 1. And then if you go to like track 5, I believe it's Biggest Fan, I think, is the last one. It's like about their moms. It's like But Mom, you always were a perfect fan. That's what's called.
Oh, okay. All
And I
right.
think that's either track 5 or the last one. But anyways, go back to that. Nowadays, you don't know what track anything was unless you were back in those days when you had to click through it.
Well, and the thing is, you obviously know I'm a huge music person.
Well,
I mean,
obviously, you wouldn't work at the radio if you weren't.
exactly, and so I'm a big advocate of like what music can do to a person.
Sure.
What
It gives you a feeling.
exactly
sometimes.
like, and
But that's why I like the boy bands, because some of them there's obviously some cheesy ones, like, you got Bye Bye Bye, that, it's an awesome song. It's a fun one. You pop it on, everyone knows it. But then there's like This I Promise You. And you get, I don't know what it is, you get some feeling because it has like a little bit of power behind it. That's why I like singing Engelbert when I do karaoke. I suck at singing, but there's something about that power ballad that just feels good. I don't know what it is.
so the
Might as well go on another tangent.
the love you have for boy bands is the same love. So I have a huge soft spot for the power ballad. Like most people.
Michael Bolton.
Well, no.
Oh,
That's no. I'm a like rock like metal ballad.
So when I think of that,
most people think of like when they think of like hard metal songs, they think of the fast, the upbeat. But I'm all about the like Mama, I'm Coming Home or Heaven by Warrant, or like I love the sappy love ballads that these metal or hair metal groups
You know
did.
which one I like is this is even funnier. It was on the Now 5 CD.
No.
This
Oh no.
Bon Jovi, Thank You for Loving Me. That was a good song. Still a good song. Still have it downloaded on the iPhone.
That's my wife's and my song.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because
So here we go.
we literally like we were sitting in hell in not dirty. We're sitting in bed one day, and I literally, this is before we got married, I started hysterically laughing. I couldn't stop. And she goes, "What is wrong with you?" And I said, "Nothing." And she's like, "No, what's wrong?" And I said, I'm so thankful that you love me.
Oh.
I said that to her. Like,
so
and I'm
sweet.
just like, got kind of like, instead of like, oh, I started laughing hysterically. Like, it was just the way my system decided to handle it. And so, like, for us, well, it was like, instead of like getting emotional,
Sure.
like, and like crying about it, like some people would,
Well.
I started literally hysterically laughing. And it caused her to be like, "What is wrong with you?" And I just said, "I just am very thankful that you love me. Thank you for loving me." So that became our song.
But that's like, to me, Bon Jovi is one of those heavy hitting bands, but they make that sappy love song there, and it's such a good song.
That's so cute that he thinks Bon Jovi is a heavy hitting band.
Well, I mean, okay, so
That's cute.
let's go on to this heavy metal, because you and me performed. I mean, you performed more than me. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I performed with my uncle's band, Hair Metal Radio, as you have many times. But we did one together at Goodview Days back in, 2018? Remember we dressed up and we were in the crowd trying to get the crowd going, but then
It was at Goodview Days, wasn't it?
Yeah, Goodview Days, like 2018, I
What
think.
song did we do together?
Well, you were just there. Like, we dressed up with the band, and we were in the crowd. Well, I guess we didn't do a song together. I did The Stroke.
Yeah. I was
And
like,
then
I
you
need
did
to
your
just-
piece that you normally always did, which was like 3 or 4 songs, I think.
Of
But we
course.
were together, is what I'm saying. We didn't perform a song. I'm
okay.
so sorry.
I was like, I was like, what song would we do together? Like, I was
But-
very confused.
But that was, I mean, I don't really care much for the music, but that performing songs like that,
Yeah.
or just perform, I like singing, as you know, because I come to all your karaoke's for the most part.
He does.
If I had a better voice, I would love to be a singer, but I know my voice sucks. But the performance and the feeling you get from singing something is so cool. And it's like an adrenaline rush.
Well, once again, I mean, especially in that sense, like you're singing songs that people know, that people love, and they're getting into it. And once again, as much as, yes, there is a personal, you get something out of it, at the same time, for us, we're giving the crowd something that they're attaching to. Like, and once again, it goes back to that, like, people thinking it's a selfish thing. It's not a selfish thing. We're doing it for them. Like literally, we are doing it like.
I'm doing this for you.
Well, no, but seriously,
know.
like as much as people is once again, like I get the you just like the sound of your own voice. You just like you like being in the spotlight, and it's like no, it's.
Do you ever think this? Hold on, I want to go off on something. This might be a psychology question. Who knows? Not even a question. A statement.
right.
Do you ever think people say that to people that they know that aren't NSYNC? They're not Bon Jovi. They're not Metallica. And they like to just belittle someone just because they're like, you just like the center of attention.
Well,
Because do you think
absolutely.
that they would walk up to
Absolutely.
Justin Timberlake and go, you just like the center of attention?
Well, here's
no,
the
they'd be
thing.
like, oh my God, it's Justin Timberlake.
No, you know damn well that someone at some point said that to them, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's
yeah.
there's always going to be that person who wants to tear you down.
Oh, I'm sure. Like
there
right
it
now,
is.
when we post this out there.
Oh yeah, someone's to be like, these guys are idiots. These
Stupid
guys are
Jacobson
idiots.
doing that.
You know what?
Yeah,
For
blah,
the
blah.
people who think we're idiots, you know what? We're keeping it family friendly.
We'll black it out if he even does it. We'll black
I
him out.
hope you stub your toe.
Yeah.
I hope you stub your toe.
On a couch cushion.
There, no. I want to go harder on a door frame.
Ooh, ouch.
I hope you stub your pinky toe on a door frame because those are the worst. I did that
Slam
3
your
weeks
finger in a
ago, and
car
my
door.
pinky toe still hurts. So
Oh.
I hope it happens to you. But that's the point. Like I think that there's always going to be. I mean, we remember it from grade school. There's
Yeah.
always going to be people that see other people doing well or succeeding that want to tear you down.
Or just having fun.
Well, that's
Or just enjoying it.
exactly like how dare you enjoy yourself? Like they just get off
Yeah.
on tearing people down.
Oh, I get
And-
made fun of for wrestling all the time. I mean, granted, I am.
Oh, I get made fun of in being a fan of wrestling.
Yeah.
The entire radio station belittles me every single day. But do you think I care? No, I don't.
Well,
We turned into a bit. Like it's literally like Paul does not enjoy sports, but for some strange reason, he thinks professional wrestling is a sport.
It's the only honest sport left, Paul.
Exactly.
Don't let them tell you otherwise.
My favorite thing is they're like, oh, it's all predetermined. I'm like, isn't the NFL right now too? Oh.
Yeah, we know it wasn't predetermined. My broken face.
How many like? Because now you have to explain that story. I mean, I know it, but now everyone else is like,
Is this thing even recording
what is he
anymore?
talking about?
Is this thing even recording anymore?
Do you want me to check?
You should go check.
Okay.
Check that bad boy. See, is there a
time limit?
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering more about my. It's still going? Top.
Yeah, it's still going.
Good. Keep her going. All right.
I bet I might as well check both.
You might check. Get back to old man.
That's going too. So.
Well, I didn't run out of film.
Not
I
yet,
brought
edit.
plenty of film along. I brought plenty of tape for us to record our stuff. So
Apparently,
yeah.
plenty of beer too. So.
Yeah, look at this. We just got 2 more. So, anyways, yeah. I mean, I got a broken face in a match,
Yeah,
and
you know
that
what?
hence this scar.
Thanks
right
a lot,
here.
Moose.
He's a nice guy, though.
That is true. Yeah,
This
yeah.
is the funniest thing, though. Okay, so this scar right here, that if you can see it, the scar here is from my surgery, basically. And then I had to get cut open under my eyebrow, right here and up under my lip to push out my orbital bone because his back of his head landed on my face. So here's what happened.
No. We're going to do a slight. Chris got his face crushed
In fake wrestling.
in fake wrestling.
Yeah. In fake wrestling, my face was broken.
That was the best comment you could have done.
Yeah. That's why when we talked about it earlier, I said it's predetermined,
It's not fake.
but my face was really broken.
Oh, my gosh.
Really broken. So, anyways, it was one of his first matches at the facility, and we did Thursday nights was always fans come in. It was only like 20 people because that's all we really had. But we
build it up.
also
It was
had
23.
23 and a half. There was a big guy in the front row.
Oh,
No, I'm just
okay.
kidding.
All right.
So, and then we also had a camera like this you were working in front of, and that was the whole idea is you're working for the crowd, but you're also working for the hard cam, which is the one that's the still cam. So anyways, we're having a match, and he was a buddy of mine. Like, I went over and hung out at his house. I went to the Falcons training camp because he was a former NFL player, and anybody that knows independent wrestling will know Moose is in Impact Wrestling. Anyways, fun guy. I mean, him and we would go and do things. I got another story to go off on this. But anyways, this is the broken face one. So anyways, we're having our first match together. Or this was our first match ever and our only match, actually. So it's like one of his first couple matches of his career. And he picks me up for a Samoan drop, so I'm on his shoulders, and he's dropping me back. That's all it was. Well, he didn't push me back far enough, so the back of his head, and he's 6'5", 300 pounds at this time. Now he's slimmer and really pretty jacked now. Back of his head hits everything here, busted all up. And that was in the first minute and 20 of the match. You can watch it on YouTube, but it's not very clear. So you just can see.
How long was the match supposed to go?
Oh, it went the whole way.
But okay.
Oh, well, he went another 10 minutes.
Oh, that's my point. So he went.
I kept going with
9 minutes with a broken face.
I kept doing fake wrestling with a real
trying to
broken
build
face.
you up here,
Thank you.
you know?
Yeah. So yeah, with the fake wrestling and my real broken face, we went another 10 minutes.
With a broken freaking face. Take that, Kurt Angle.
Yeah, and I couldn't even be at that last show. But anyways, broke my face. I roll out of the ring. I knew something was wrong. Dave is actually my tag team partner, so I'm having a singles match. My tag partner's out there. I go out there. Dave comes. He's like, "Is everything okay?" I'm like, "I think I broke my face." That's how exactly I said it. He goes, his next words go, "What do you want me to do?"
It's not funny,
I go,
but I'm sorry. It's funny, but
he goes, "What do you want me to do?" I'm like, "Just stall him quick. Let me recover." The next move was him doing a crossbody over the top rope onto me. And I pushed Dave out of the way, I think. It's on film. He comes over a flying crossbody on a 300-pound guy coming down on a guy with a broken freaking face. We finished the match. And afterwards, I had a girlfriend at the time, and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to take you to the hospital." I'm like, no, I can drive. As I'm in the back room recovering, I start blacking out from the pain.
Well, I was like, I remember you telling me, like, because your eye was like.
So my eye, after this had all been
straight, basically.
Yeah, it was almost like if you went onto a bad analog channel, it was just the snow. It was like flickering that snow. That's what it looked like here. So during the rest of the match, for the most part, it had like trouble with my depth perception, and he knew something was wrong. So I roll back in the ring. He puts me in a rest hold, which is just like a choke hold or a sleeper hold. And he goes, "Are you okay?" I go, "I think I broke my face." He goes, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "Well, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "Well, we're going to just keep going." Because the adrenaline's going. So you got the adrenaline going. Nothing really matters at that point. He goes, "Well, what's next?" I go,
"Oh, you told me that." He forgot the rest of the match.
I would too if I knew that something happened. He's like, "I don't remember what's next." I'm like, "Keep me here. Just like, stall a little bit, and I'll walk you through it." And I did for the most part. From what I remember, I did walk him through it. And we got through it, and actually the match wasn't bad. If you go watch it on YouTube, it looks pretty decent. I got the win. I mean, granted, it's predetermined, but...
So you walked Moose through a match because he couldn't remember because he broke your face.
Yes.
So with a broken face, you still carried Moose through his match.
Yeah, and
And who's in Impact Wrestling right now?
Him.
I'm sorry. That's not me rubbing it in your face. That's like me not believing that.
But man, I can only imagine. I can be like, "Oh yeah, this sucked and this and that," and it's like, no. I'm like, how I would feel if I did that, knowing that something happened.
Well, you would have been the same way. You would have been like, "Holy crap! I just
like, do we stop the match or what do we do?
Did I just kill him?" Like,
no kidding. Because he's 6'5", so that that back Samoan drop wasn't something that was coming from like a 5'5" guy.
Yeah,
it was coming up from a ways, and he was literally in between training and still working out for NFL teams. Because I remember when I first started talking to him, he was still doing tryouts. I think he did one with the Miami Dolphins when he was first getting into wrestling. But his real love was actually wrestling. This is funny. He had a tryout with WWE in about 2013. I think it was the spring. I drove him down to Jacksonville, Florida from Atlanta so he could he could just focus. And he's like, "Well, you can come backstage with me and all that." So we get a hotel room the night before. We go, it's a SmackDown. So I don't remember what night that was on. It was probably Thursday. It was probably a Thursday night.
Probably Thursday SmackDown at the time, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's like, "Yeah, you can come backstage and all that with, and I'll do the tryout and all that." And there's a few other guys that were there for tryouts. It wasn't just him, but it was before the show. So as people are going through their matches, they're doing this thing in front of William Regal and Matt Stryker. So I'm there. I am in the backstage having catering, eating food with the guys. I'm like a kid in a candy store. You'd be the same way. You'd be like, I'm sitting there next to Mark Henry eating lunch. As
that's amazing.
Seamus
you never told me this story before.
I've never told you this story.
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna get more detail then. And so we're sitting there eating with all these guys, and I'm trying not to stare because you don't want to look like that Mark or that goofy guy. I'm eating next to Mark Henry, cool. But there's other guys there. Jack Swagger was eating, and then I'm walking down the hallways. Cody Rhodes is walking by. Seamus is walking by. I meet Big Show, hands ginormous. Yeah, I go up to him, and this is even funnier. The guys that were doing the tryout, they were literally like in a single stall bathroom changing. And
you're just hanging out with
I'm just hanging out.
WWE superstar.
Yeah. And Big Show comes out,
That's
Paul White,
awesome.
and I go, hey, I'm Chris. He goes, nice to meet you. I'm Paul. I'm like, oh, cool. Like I'm Big Show. Like, that's not how they act back there. So
No.
it's really cool. And I shake his hands. I'm like, geez, his hands are huge.